So good evening, everyone, once more. You're welcome to this evening conversation, this evening discussion that is being, sorry, once more. So this evening conversation is no other conversation other than the conversation by Nzuko Okigwe Political Summit. This evening, we have eminent sons and daughters from the Okigwe axis within the Southeast Nigeria. Again, this event will be hosted by myself, Mazi Ezoke, and I have my co-moderator here, Mr. Daniel Elumba. Mr. Elumba, you're welcome to this event.
Thank you.
Now, to start with, we will be introducing men, women that will be speaking to us. The exercise this evening is to interface with those public office holders that are from this part of the world. There is no other reason why this happens other than a quest for accountability. The event, again, as many will know, it's a very critical event to examine the performances of those that we have elected. What is the impact that they do have in our lives? Are they doing what we have elected them to do? What are their impacts within around Okigwe axis? There's going to be panelists this evening. These panelists will range from royal fathers, those elected elected into various offices, and also there will be an panel of elders and other panelists. But to get the ball rolling, I will have the honor to introduce Ambassador Timothy Ehime, who is the National President, Nzuko Okigwe, to give us his opening remark. Ambassador, if you don't mind, may you please kindly take the podium and address us.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Good evening, the Okigwe. Let me first of all thank everyone that has created chance to join us in this all-important and first-time meeting organized by Nzuko Okigwe. It is not easy to make out this time due to the busy schedules of most of the people around this time. I appreciate most sincerely Professor Maurice Iwu and Nze Ozi Chukwu. Let me also say that there's an apology from Eze, His Royal Majesty, Eze Oliver Ohanwe. He's on the road and he's trying to join us, and very soon he will join us. I think he will be able to connect with us. As a word of introduction, this platform was born out of sincere desire to recreate a better Okigwe. Myself and the secretary, the national secretary, Ben Chinedokoro, conceived the idea that given what is happening in other parts of the Southeast, especially around Anambra Nnewi axis, that we need to create a platform that will reinvent an intelligent framework towards achieving and attracting development in our area. And so we started reaching out and contacting very respectable Okigwe sons and daughters. And the result is where we are today, that we have a platform that is also staying on focus, thinking of nothing else but the development progress of Okigwe. We were young and we heard about Bodonine Mepechala Fondo Okigwe Nolo. Today, I think by all standards, Olo has overtaken Okigwe. Okigwe seems to be dragging his feet towards sustainable development. And so it worries us, not that we lack men with capacity, not that we lack women who are intelligent enough, not that we lack public servants and officials, but somehow we need to be united and share ideas. And that's why we have called for this political meeting, so that there will be an interface and interaction so that we know what our challenges are, where we are at the moment, and what next need to be done. On that note, I welcome everybody and hand over to the moderators to continue the deliberations. Thank you and welcome once again. Good evening, all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Now, no one here would say that he or she doesn't know why we all gathered here. You've perfectly and succinctly put it, the reason why we all gathered. Now, in the tradition of Ndị Igbo, asna tupu anyị ebido ihe ọbụla anyị na-eme, na anyị ga-akpọku ekekere ụwa. In that manner, we will now call on a traditional ruler, if he's here, any one of them, if we can take the time to give us a short prayer so that we may officially kickstart this event. Do we have any of the royal fathers in our midst? Or if we don't?
I don't think so.
Okay, we may call on the secretary to please give us an opening prayer.
Yeah, thank you, Ogato. I think there's a pastor here. We have Pastor Emeka Anyanwu.
Okay, if Pastor Emeka Anyanwu, if you're in a position to please turn on your video and pray before we start, please kindly do that. You've been requested to on your mic, but I do not, if that is convenient for you. It may not be convenient, I guess. If someone else, please.
Okay, let me take the prayers.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I think someone is raising their hand. You see, that's the reason why we say you should rename your device, because very, very uncomfortable to call someone Infinix Note 11 or Note 2. But again, let's take the risk. And you've been unmuted, sir, and tell us your name, and please kindly pray, then have the prayer. I guess that's the reason. You've been unmuted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Professor Okechukwu Okeke, speaking from Obowo. I'm with Obowo. So let us pray. Are we to pray in English or Igbo? Just permit me. Okay, thank you very much. I'll keep it brief. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We thank God for enabling us to meet the way we have met, hold this Zoom meeting. It's not been easy to arrange. It's not been easy to set up this platform and to run it to this stage. Thank God, call upon God to bless those who have organized it and to guide us as we deliberate, in the hope that our deliberation, our decisions, our advice will conduce to the greater glory of God and to the progress of Okigwe. In Jesus' name we prayed. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir. That is a prayer of a professor. There are those who are much closer to God than others. So thank you very much. Now you can email. My co-moderator, Amanagim ma igenyere anyị aka kpọpụta ndị niile nwere ike ịgwa ya okwu na mgbede a, maka na unu nwere ike ịgbagharakwa m, abụkwa m onye Isofia, ọbụla onye Ụmụọna, oyibo kwekwara m asụ, mana Igbo na-adịkwa m mma n'ọnụ, maka na ihe anyị ga-eji wee na-akparịta ụka bụ nkata ụmụnna ka anyị wee mara ka ihe ga-esi wee gaa. Co-moderator, are you able to help? Okay, let's then quickly go on. This evening, we would start with we've had our opening prayer by Professor Okechukwu Okeke, and Professor, once more, thank you very much there.
Thank you.
Now we would now go ahead and invite the royal fathers of the day, that is His Royal Majesty Eze Oliver Ohanwe. I don't know if our Royal Majesty is here. If he's here, please may he then take the podium. While he's at it, also, His Royal Majesty Eze Eric Uchegbu. Amaghị m ma ndị igwe na-aba nọ n'etiti anyị. His Royal Majesties, are they with us? Oh, I think we were told that they had connectivity issue, but they're
not here.
Okay, that notwithstanding, we will quickly move to the next, and they will call the real and the core panelists. We will have Professor Maurice Iwu, who is already here with us, who is the chairman. Professor, I will give you 10 minutes to address us. After you, we will get in Nze Ozi Chukwu. Then after that, after the two addresses from the chairman and the secretary, we will then go over to Okigwe public office holders, and where we have Honorable Chike Okafor, Okigwe South, Honorable Miriam Onuoha, Okigwe North, Senator Frank Ibezim, Imo North. Now, once more, the senator has been here with us from onset, even when he is on transit. Senator, we appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to join and also be here from the onset. Then afterwards, we have
please, Honorable Miriam Onuoha equally, in fact, was here before. She was on the road and we saw her. Please, I want you to take cognizance of that. Please,
okay.
And she has been here, yes, please.
Okay, so also I extend that appreciation to Honorable Miriam Onuoha as well, who represents Okigwe North. Now, in the State House of Assembly, we would have Right Honorable Kennedy Ibe, Obowo Local Government, Honorable Micheal Crown Onyemaechi, Ihitte-Uboma, Honorable Prince Emeka Ezenduka, Ehime, and Right Honorable Chiji Collins, Isiala Mbano. We would not also forget to mention Right Honorable Paul Emeziem Onuimo, and the last but not the least, Honorable Chidiebere Ogbunikpa, who is also representing the good people of Okigwe. Now, my good Professor Maurice Iwu, we are now being called upon to take the podium and give us your own remark. Sir, you do have 10 minutes to do that. Professor, you may now unmute yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you can hear me now, okay?
Yes, Prof, we can hear you.
I want to start by thanking you for hosting us. I think for hosting us, I think you are now honorary Okigwe son. I want to also thank the people who are leading Nzuko Okigwe for doing a good job. I must really say that this is a welcome change. Why this is so? Because we will have people representing us. And if somebody representing you and you didn't give the person clear instructions what you want done, the person may misfire. The person who will be speaking after me, Nze Ozi Chukwu, people will think that we get on well so much because we have discussed the Okigwe matter so many times that it is important that we will build a track record that we'll be able to say this is where we are going. The drivers may change in a train. The passengers may change in a train, but the train has a destination that it must reach. And that is how a development of a place can actually take place. One of the things we also find missing is the fact that people confuse governance with politics. You can get elected through political playing, but you cannot really govern using just politics. Governance is essentially leadership and management, but anybody can play politics. And this is one of the things that have been so confusing. We've had a situation where we had representatives who have never reached where they are supposed to be representing. They never hold town hall meetings. They don't discuss with their people and so on. Sometimes we quarrel with our northern brothers and sisters that they don't listen to us. And they laugh because their constituency is very clear. And once their constituency is happy with them, they're okay. There is no need to listen to the man on the side. And this is why it is important that we're having this discussion today. It's the beginning of a long journey, but we'll get there. And let us also make it very clear that people who believe that they are too big to be accountable to us will also should have the guts to be able to tell them that they are too small to actually represent us. And that's the only way we can make progress. We have had a situation where we have members of our own society, our brother or our sister, who were sent out there, and the person comes back and without anything. If we are sending you to a mission, we don't want you to go there to speak grammar. We want you to negotiate for us. If you're a representative, 3 things we expect from you. 1, you will be our ambassador wherever you are going. You should be able to say that I represent the good people of Okigwe, so and so. That for us is being ambassador, and then be able to contribute your quota to whatever is being discussed in the national discourse, if it's in the state discourse. The second thing is that governance is about sharing of allocations and things. You should be able to bring back to us the things that are due to us, the things that are due to us by nature of your office and by nature of quota and whatever they are doing there. The third one that you may not believe is that you have to come back with a trophy. Whether it's the trophy that you earn, you snatch from somebody else, or that was bestowed on you, there has to be something that showed that you were out there to represent us. When I was in INEC, when I came there was no single director from Igbo extraction. But before I left, I made sure that almost all the important things due to us got to us. Nze Ozi Chukwu will bear witness to me that we plan to have the national registry for elections built at Okigwe. The building happened that something happened to the building, the building collapsed. Otherwise, the whole national registry for elections could have happened at that small town. The other reason why we have to do what we are doing is that Okigwe is the smallest of the zones in Imo State. Imo State is one of the smallest states in the country. What does that mean? It means that we have to have very rigid cohesion. If we don't have a tight ship, we cannot survive. We cannot have room for rascals. We cannot have room for people who are so despotic. We cannot have room for people who only think about themselves. And we should have the courage that if we have any of our own sons and daughters who is toxic to this mix, we have to exercise the person out of our midst. Well, I don't mean that we'll kill the person. I don't mean that we'll clobber him. No, what I mean, a person can do his business, but the person should not have any business with governance. Governance is a serious business, and we must face that. Why that is also important, a very certain, I'm glad that the House members are present. A situation where we change 3 speakers in 1 year is a big shame to us. It means that those people were not worthy to have held the position that they held. And so each one of them has to express to us why we should re-elect them. Because if you cannot manage to be 6 of you only, if you cannot manage that whole coalition, then something is seriously wrong with you. So we have to be able to be bold enough. This is not finished. This is not the time for jokes. This is not the time for nice. You may not talk to me after this presentation, but it is important to tell you in your face. And that's what happened to the Igbos when we had the Senate presidency. All the states in the federation that are Igbo tested the Senate president, whereas the deputy Senate president at the time, Mantu, stayed on throughout. And David Mark stayed on for 2 terms, and yet we couldn't hold it for 1. That showed that although we were clever, we were smart, we lacked what it takes to be in politics in Nigeria. And this is, and Nigeria is not as simple as people make it to be. So there is no need, if we have our sons and daughters who are brilliant, who are experts, who are church people, who could be bishops of their province, but they may not be smart enough to lead anybody. We should be bold enough to tell them that they can go, and then we should be able to let them. So I'm glad that we are here. I'm very glad that we all had this meeting. So what we should also do is to set up agenda, say this is where we are going, this is how the Okigwe of our dream. And then when we finish, whoever thinks he can do it, then will step up to say that I can do it. And if he's not able to do it, we'll not kill him. All he needs to do is to step aside so that those who can do it, do it. We have a situation, a very lucky situation in our hands, that Okigwe is the intersection between Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and some parts of Enugu also passes through us, so that we can then have a situation where our place will be the place where people can come to rest, people can have their businesses there without being molested. Now we have a security issue. How many times have our representatives called a meeting, a closed-door meeting, to talk about the insecurity in the land? Never. This is not representation. This is cowardice. All they do is run away. They live now in Owerri and Anambra and Lagos and Abuja. That's not how you represent. If you are representing somebody, you should be man enough to come back home and organize these meetings. So my brothers and sisters, I know
I think the Prof, we have had you loud and clear, but it appears the network and the network providers are not happy with the truth.
From now on, we have not done well. We should tell ourselves that from truth. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay, Prof, I think, you, at some point from my end, I couldn't hear, but thank you for that fantastic comment that you've opened the floor with. Now, you admonished those that are representing us for the following. Prof, you said that they must go and negotiate on your behalf. No grammars. They must go there, get it. They must be good ambassadors, and they must bring back goodies of representation, which you also say they have to come back with trophy. But I must make note of this, which is a very, very critical comment you made regarding the time that we find ourselves in. They must talk about the insecurity in our place. And not only talk about these insecurities, they will also be ready to offer solutions. Prof, again, we know what you have done. Here, you are telling those representing us, those working on our behalf, that they must up their game. You made us and you took us down memory lane when it was our turn to have the Senate president. You also alluded to the fact, of course, we all know that Senator Mantu, who was DSP then, stayed all through, whereas ours was nothing less than ping pong game that we played with it. Again, we must say thank you once more, Professor Maurice Iwu, for this fantastic opening. I would then have the pleasure to invite Nze Ozi Chukwu, who is the secretary, once more, 10 minutes. After that, we will be taking also, there are other panelists here, like Chief Emma Agu, Professor Okechukwu Okeke, Professor Frank Ozo, Sir George Egu, and Ambassador Tim Ihemadu. So, but let's quickly go back to Nze Ozi Chukwu, please. If you are here, can you kindly unmute and take the virtual lecture? You are given 10 minutes to do so. Thank you very much. Are you here? Yes, can you kindly unmute yourself, please? You've done that. Can you, if you don't mind, if you can turn your camera on, please. Ozi Chukwu. Okay, it appears we have network challenges with your connection because I can see you are in here virtually, but for some reason, it appears you're unable to unmute yourself. Then I would quickly hand over to my co-moderator to please carry on. Dan, are you there? Dan, are you there?
Yes, if you will. We're having the panelists to make their presentation, or are we calling the political office holders at this point?
Well, from the order, we have to then get to the political office holders. And we would start, if you don't mind, you can start with the senator who's been here for a long time.
We have sorry, the name is not fully written out in this device. That's Senator Frank.
Okay, so that's Senator Frank Ibezim, representing the good people of Imo North. Senator, may you take the virtual lecture, please? You may kindly unmute yourself, Senator.
Hello, my people. Am I on to you?
We can hear you loud and clear.
You can hear me. I want to actually thank the organizers, and I listened to Prof speak. I want to thank Prof Iwu, Nze Ozi, and I also want to thank my colleagues, those in the State House of Assembly and those that are with me in the National Assembly. This is quite innovative, and the important thing is that we have started. I believe we are going to make a lot of progress. It's also wonderful that all the legislators we are all interested in why we are elected. Without us to not necessarily apportion blames this minute or look for excuses and go straight into what is expected of us. I know that all over the world, we've had the pandemic, and seriously, we've had serious security issues in our nation, and unfortunately, it's hitting our state and our senatorial district so hard. And you know that there's no development without security. What is great is that we have the opportunity to talk about security. But you know, we can't really talk so much about security because we can mention a few things. But I want to let us know that I'm a member of the committee, Senate Committee on Police, and that the committee, through me, we've waded in because I've made it clear to them that our senatorial district is a disaster area because we really don't have existing police stations. However, what is clear is when our police stations were being burnt, majority of our people didn't quite understand what the havoc this will bring to us, because when they were burning this security, the police offices, some of our people, majority of our people were clapping for them. And this was shown on TV. It made the entire police force to think that the challenge of trying to sack the police is a welcome idea by our people. And that made them to say, well, before they will be able to show police presence, they will be ready. They will be sure that we're ready to accept police officers. But, you know, we need to get to the crux of the problem of insecurity. Almost 80% of our population is under 40. So majority of these youth have tried so hard. Some of them have tried to go to school, graduated, but the kind of goodies that they learned happened yesteryears, they can't be seen anywhere. They still, after graduation, don't have jobs. And after some years, they are told that they are unemployable. So a lot of frustration that now made it easy for people to resort to drug use, very dangerous drug use. So we know that, you know, the security challenges were there because of the challenges of not taking care of even those that have worked very hard. However, we've tried a lot. The governor has got, done quite a lot, and you know that when it comes to security issues, he is the chief secretary of the state, so you have to be careful. You have to make sure you're in tandem with what he is doing. He has local government chairmen who are his eyes, major eyes in the local government, and then the DSS that is in every local government. So they give him information. But you know that all over Nigeria, we've had serious security issues. And these issues are issues that we have not heard of in yesteryears. So we're battling with them. I heard when Prof talked about town hall meetings. The truth is, because of the pandemic and the insecurity, the times that legislators have tried to call on the traditional rulers and the populace for some kind of town meetings, it has not happened because you don't blame them. They are not going to want to converge in places when they converge in those places, they are not sure of their safety. There's nobody, whether it's the security, is a legislator or any leader, that is unsure of his safety that would agree to converge. Having said that, we have also tried as legislators to invite and try to do things in our localities. Majority of the things we have done as a people, whether it's the stakeholders meeting or like the meetings that I've had with the President Generals or the meetings that I've had with party faithfuls, I've had in my village. And I know that other legislators have also tried to do the same. So what I think is whatever that will make us create empowerments, trainings for our young people will be one way to go, because once we have employment, it will reduce this insecurity and issues. A few things that I've tried to do as a member of the National Assembly that has some exposure overseas is I've gone back into the States to talk to a lot of our diasporans for us to see what we can do in capturing most of these data entry jobs that are being shipped out to Far East, India and other areas. And we're making some progress. For instance, as a matter of fact, today, I was in one of the offices where we passed out most of the youths in cinematography and photography. Interestingly, when we called our young people to come for training, a lot of people showed interest because they thought that we were going to hand over expensive cameras to them in day one or day two. Some of them have even arranged those that would take the cameras off of them and pay them. And I can assure you, when other legislators will speak, you will know that most of the empowerment programs that we have tried to do, if you allow it, people will just pick those things and sell them. So we need to not play politics, sit down, teach these people and figure out those that have shown interest and those that understand it and those that will be able to be empowered for sustainability. The other thing that I want to mention here is, yes, if you recall, I've only been this legislator for 1 year. On the 27th of April, I made 1 year of my representation. However, we have also tried to do quite a bit because of the synergy between His Excellency the Governor, who was a two-time senator before he became a governor, who has continually shown interest and reach for me to have very close relationship with the leadership of the Senate, and our brother, the former Minister of State for Education as well. So we've been able to, in cohesion, try to bring back quite a bit. I also have a relationship with the State House of Assembly members who, even before I got in, I spoke to, and from time to time, we'll try to see what they are doing and compare notes. My sister and brother, Honorable Miriam Onuoha and taking Okafor as well. What is important is for the leaders, like our leaders today, for us to continue this, because when representatives realize that whether we come to town hall meetings or not, that meetings like this will be scheduled either by Zoom, if it's not possible to meet directly. We're all going to be interested in sharpening up our skills. So basically, if you check the budget, I'm sure the budget is online. You'll be able to know what we as National Assembly legislators have attracted to our place. And I call on you to also check those things. And when we tell you what we've done, these are verifiable things, and you have a way to check in to see what we can do. About 3 weeks ago, I called the President Generals. We have 154 communities, and I invited the President Generals. About 102 showed up in my house in the village. And besides telling them my 1 year scorecard, I explained to them that there's need for them to go back and ask the president of the youth and president of the women, what exactly do they think would be the right form of empowerment, real empowerment. And I suggested to them that in the budget, I know that every community has a processing unit, agri-processing unit, because the only one way that we can get it right is for us to refocus on agriculture. Let everybody have a garden, and let us use the ADPs, the Agri Development Program, the project heads in each local government, to go back to our wards. And this is one way to do it. By the time you set up the program like the ones that we're doing already, you make sure that those processing units in those communities, like women have a lot processing units. Some of them are moribund. And what I put in the project is, in the budget, is to make sure that we revive those ones and also introduce a new technology of processing most of those, whether it's yam, cassava, and get the women together and see how we can also put them together as cooperatives. So these are the reasons why we call them. In spite of telling them about my one year in the office, I told them to get feedbacks, and also for them to talk to the youths to get the feedbacks of what we would be able to do with the youths. But primarily, I'm focusing on making sure that these data entry jobs, that we get them, because all we need is just to give them the two laptops and teach them and get them the certifications that will attract them to do these jobs back home while earning in foreign currency. I don't know if somebody's keeping and checking my time. The things that we have done so far in 1 year, I've done a medical outreach in the 6 local governments, and also paid for diasporans that are come yearly. This year, I tried to pay for their accommodation to the tune of 1.2 million to encourage them to come, so that some of the medical outreach outflows that we've done, like the surgeries that we can push to them when they come, so that they can also have people that have been diagnosed already. I also try to explain to them that there's need for them to work with locals, because when they work with the local doctors, they will be able to keep up with what they are doing. They will be able to keep up with what they are doing. When they are gone, they will have locals that will be able to keep up with what they are doing before they return. I've been able to set up classroom libraries. Truly speaking, growing up, we had classroom libraries in this country. Today, we don't have them. How are we going to recreate foundational education? There's no way we can recreate foundational education without reintroducing classroom libraries in our schools. So as a member of the Committee on Basic Education, I've been able to convince the UBEC to reintroduce classroom libraries in the 109 senatorial districts. And they have mapped out 10 classroom libraries in each senatorial district. And I came back into Okigwe zone to set up 18 of its kind. And what I've tried to do with that is to make sure that the children are able to read about even our currency, teach them about Naira and Kobo, teach them about bullying, making sure that there's anti-bullying to reduce cultism, because you have to start this with the young kids. We've been able to talk to them about sexual education, how not to be touched inappropriately, those basic things that will make these children to, be the best they can be growing up. I also decided to reach out to the teachers. Because of that, we did teacher encouragement programs. And interestingly, that program has played up very well. As vice chairman of Committee on Industries, I was able to get some of those COVID-19 loans, about 200 of 500,000 naira COVID-19 loans to our citizens, attracting about 100 million into our rural area, the Okigwe zone. And there were other little grants associated that we were able to get from 30,000 to 100,000 to 200,000. And we have about 1,800 of those verifiable as well. We're lucky to have the first of its kind power plant in Ihitte-Uboma, Micheal. That power plant is a 60 kilowatts power plant, powering the area in Micheal area that does not have electricity. And we're able to celebrate our elderly. We try as much as possible to reach out to our elderly, not just in trying to look at their health issues, but also try to celebrate the oldest elders in a few communities. These are all verifiable things. What we're trying to do is have pilot schemes that will help grow up what we're doing. We've also been talking to the federal government, the FEMA. We're always knocking on the door of the Minister Fashola, telling him the importance of all our federal roads. And if you see, for the first time in a long while, the federal roads in our senatorial districts are being maintained as much as is possible. They've done the bridge in somewhere around Ehime, Isiala, and Mbano axis, and all the roads from Okigwe area through Ihitte-Uboma to Obowo. Those roads are being. Part of what I'm excited about is what we're doing with electricity. When I came into government, the major thing that I want to tackle was electricity. And my first bill was on the disaster area that is called Okigwe zone, that over 30 years ago. The approvals they had for us on electricity, we could not do much on them. I'm happy to tell you that as we speak, from Ohia to Umuahia, we're separating the Obowo line from the Ehime, Mbano and the Ihitte-Uboma line. And it's ongoing as we speak, and that will increase our power source by about 80%. If you go to the Okigwe axis, even for about a week ago, I was still with the power minister, where also the power plant that my predecessor and brothers them almost finished building. This insecurity thing was vandalized after the contractor died. And they stole everything, so we're on square one in that regard. But I've been able to talk to the Prime Minister. We're feeding off of now. But before it was okay, it's just bringing the mobile unit. They're also doing all the lines. If you go to between Umuahia, there's one other name before you get to Okigwe, that axis. They're working on that. We have also been lucky with erosion control projects. If you go to Ishiweke, at the back of Ishiweke, you have one of the most dangerous erosion gully. We have been able to do that road, which is about 4-point-something kilometers with the erosion issues. Those are verifiable, been done already. The other thing that is quite interesting is we wouldn't have been able to do these things in a 1 year without the relationship we have with the governor and the former Minister of State for Education. We've also done some drug abuse awareness campaigns in our schools, and we've also reintroduced farming in the schools. Interestingly, we went to primary schools and secondary schools, and what we did was to have them as pilot schemes, and those are verifiable things. We've been able to capture as pilot scheme in all the 64 wards.
I think the senator is inevitably, obviously, as he is driving, it is, we take it that his network has not played along with him. But having said that, it is very obvious that also he has railed out the things he has done within the, for the people of Okigwe. And I leave it to the people of Okigwe to either affirm or disagree with him. I mean, those of you close enough, I recall one time when Obowo Agu used to make his comedy jokes. He said something that I don't forget then. So again, I'm not making any insinuation if these things are done or not. But again, the reason why we all converged here is to hold those that we have given our mandate to account. I will thank him once more for having the opportunity to speak to us. Sadly, technology did not allow him to finish his line of thought. Now, we will continue, and we now have the privilege of getting also the second speaker, now a lady. We will be bringing in Honorable Miriam Onuoha, the representing Okigwe North in the Federal House of, in the Federal House. And please, if you may quickly unmute yourself and take the virtual lectern and speak to us. Honorable Miriam, are you there? May you kindly unmute yourself, please. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, my leaders. The chairman of this very innovative and creative platform, and the secretary and the entire team. I'd like to very warmly and respectfully salute our distinguished Senator Frank Ibezim. Honorable Chike, Okafor, Right Honorable Kennedy and other House of Assembly members who are online. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the support staff and other Okigwe participants on this platform. First of all, I'd like to say that my journey into the House of Representatives for Okigwe North from the 27th of January 2020 has been a landmark and remarkable movement with the successes that we have recorded. The chairman and secretary, and while Prof was speaking, talked about insecurity. For want of time, I would not want to talk on areas concerning security where on the issues that I consider to be very sensitive. I'd like to let us know that Honorable Princess Miriam Onuoha is a member of the National Security and Intelligence Committee. I'm also a member of the House Committee on Police, a member of the Nigerian Committee on Defense, and a few other ad hoc and special security committee of the House. And I'm privy to some sensitive security workings. And I'm very much and pretty aware that security issues are usually advised not to be treated as public. And so that's why I'd commend the last Okigwe meeting, which was convened at the residence of one of our leaders, where there was some sort of underground committees that were set up to tackle the issues of insecurity so that people with veritable ideas as to how we can reach out to some of the youths who are angered or aggrieved to see how we can talk with them and come to a point where all of these killings would abate or completely be eroded. I'll concur with most of what the senator said when it comes to youth empowerment. I believe that some of the reasons for taking to social vices would be unemployment. But like they will say, ignorance will not be an excuse. Unemployment will not be also an excuse for destructive decisions and actions by the youth. And in most of the projects or platforms that we have put together for youth, I've taken out time to talk to us that there is no war that has not been settled on the negotiation table. So rather than war, I'd rather we all judge and arrive at a solution that will take us all out of the miry clay. So if I may, I would just flip through my scorecard and my activities in the House of Reps by way of youth empowerment. By way of youth empowerment. Sorry, I got a call. Women empowerment and all of that. My activity in the House was started by a motion on the need to forestall the indiscriminate use of firearms in public places by security personnel attached to VIPs. This was occasioned by the shooting and which led to the death of our brother, Emenike. And this motion was adopted and has been widely in operation. And if you may, any social gathering within the constituency where firearms are being exhibited and used by security personnel is punishable, and you could take it up with them. The need to complete the abandoned federal low-cost housing estates in Isiala, Mbano, and low-cost housing in Mbano, Okigwe, together with providing infrastructure in this low-cost housing estates. There's also my bill on the need to commend Nnameka for his exemplary display and nationalism, which made the, Mr. President to invite him and give him a commendation letter. Ken Nnaemeka is from Amos and Isiala, Mbano, who discovered valuables belonging to the Japanese ambassador and turned it back to him at a time where Imo people were being looked at as hush puppy and co. We still have hardworking, honest, and reliable people from our constituency. And then the motion on the need to ratify the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. By the way, I am the chairman, House Committee on Disability, a platform which I have used to reach out on the implementation of the Disability Act and the mandatory employment of 5% by MDAs for persons with disability, which I have used as a negotiation base for most MDAs to give us some employment quotas, which most of our constituents have benefited from. I'd also like to talk to us about the bills. If we talk about development, we have to mention my empowerment establishment bills, one of which is a bill on the need to upgrade the General Hospital of Okigwe to Federal Medical Center, Okigwe. I saw the need to bring this FMC to Okigwe because the teaching hospital, Federal University Teaching Hospital, will now assume the position of the current FMC Uwere, and I cashed in on that opportunity and moved this motion, this bill, which has passed third reading and is now in the Senate for concurrence. My second bill is that to establish Federal College of Horticulture, also in Okigwe local government. We already have NIHOT, so it's a low-hanging fruit. And this Federal College of Horticulture will be the second in the entire country, the first being only in Dadinkowa within the north. And that's also gone through third reading and awaiting a concurrence at the Senate. The third bill is a bill to establish the Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery, and General Services, Health Services, Isiala, Mbano. That also has gone through third reading and is at the Senate concurrence. Pending, once it comes through that, it will go through to Mr. President for his accent. And I believe very much that I'll be able to push through and get presidential accent as part of his parting gifts to the people of Okigwe North. In the area of infrastructure, we're able to work with the federal ministry to establish to complete the Ehime road, the abandoned FEMA projects at lbeh, which is now complete. The Ehime drainage road, Isiala, Mbano, is also now complete. The Mechanic Village road, which is within Mechanic Village and the Timber Village in Okigwe local government, is also completed. The Amarako road, the 1 kilometer Amarako road is completed. Sorry, I'm actually on the road. And Umucheke Okwe, which is an intervention I got from the COVID people on easing agricultural produce by providing infrastructure. It's a 3.5 kilometer asphalt road that has been completed and commissioned. And then the Limca road linking Agariga in Okigwe local government is about to commence. And then in water, I have provided water boreholes, public toilets in Okigwe, public toilets at Amarako, Ori Amarako, and borehole. Also at Umegbe, Usuachara, Usamangara Ward, Ohunachi, Nde Aro in Okigwe local government, Omulolo. We have also provided in Angara community integrated borehole in Orie, Afomuna in Onyemo, and a handful of other projects. And then in education infrastructure, we have completed about 8 classroom blocks, township school Obaho. We have completed that and equipped it with furnishings. We have also completed an Emma Agu Okigwe local government classroom block equipped. We have completed an ICT center in Onuimo, fully equipped with 40 laptops and optic fiber cable to be run for 2 years with full fast internet. I intend to use that place as a JAM CBT center and for computer learning and training. That will soon be commissioned, but it's fully completed. A primary school, Omonachi, primary school, Ubo. The contract for construction at Eziem Comprehensive has just been awarded. Work will soon commence there. And a few other classroom blocks. Solar street lights, about almost 500 solar poles have been installed across communities within Isiala Mbano. I have the details of all of them in the scorecard, which I would publish to the committee. So you can send your technical crew to go around and look at them. And the reason for citing these projects in public places, missions, our markets, will be to also to illuminate the places, improve security, so that we would take out the number of hideouts for places at night and improve night trade, so that people can extend the times they sell, especially those in the missions and all that. Then for Onuimo communities, I introduced the solar home systems so that we could enhance access to electricity and to power supply, where these solar home systems can assist communities and families to charge their phones, 5 lighting points, radio, also power the television, and then that will also enhance security and improve livelihood within them there. Transformers, we have been able to install and energize about 8 transformers, one at Isiala Mbano headquarters, Amano Angana, Ukwe community in Onuimo, and a few other communities here. But the problem I'm having, which I also raised at the last meeting we had in Tony Chukwu's house, is that whilst unemployment is an issue that has to be addressed among the youth, restiveness and destructive actions about public properties should really be condemned, and everyone has to play a part. And I say this because the transformer that has just been installed at headquarters, even right in the police station, before 1 week after it was commissioned, just got vandalized. And the rate at which public utilities, especially power infrastructure, are being vandalized by our own dear youth, who should really embrace these projects and own them, is alarming. And everybody should join hands to ensure that this is done. Like the senator said, the issue of darkness and power outages, and in fact, darkness, how much time do we have for the light, let alone talk about darkness, as said by Senator Frank? It's something that has been of serious concern to me as a member of the House Committee on Power. I know how many times I've brought it on the floor of the House and during investigative committees and hearings on the need to make Okigwe zone an emergency zone because of the weak transmission lines and the poor power plants and transmission stations which we have. The last issue was the contractors handling the transmission line projects, which we encountered with the communities on the need for way leave and access to pass through their farmlands. When it became a political problem, I know I had to also now broker meetings with TCN and the staff, Niger Delta Power Holding Company with the governor of Imo State, our dear governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, who has also promised to put in the political angle and bring to talk the communities. In other geopolitical zones, it's a lot easier for people to forgo their farmlands and allow government do valuation for compensation. But in our place, there is valuation for shrine and all of those assets that you cannot really, that you term intangible, but their value to us are really very dear. So our hold on land, like is very difficult, and the governor has stepped in on this area to see that that is being tackled. I've also installed a cassava processing plant in Umunachi, which has the capacity for about 5,000 tons daily. It's being fully equipped to take off. And then the Okigwe Economic Summit, which was held in December last year, was a platform to bring in MDAs and the various agencies and intervention programs of government down to the people. I realized that there was a gap because some of us didn't quite understand what government was doing at different stages. And when you talk about government intervention programs, it just looked like it's something that happens only in the north, until a good number of our youth and women started seeing that they have become beneficiaries of some of these COVID-19 grants, intervention programs, Jeep, market money, and all of that. And then recently, I have also introduced the adult literacy program, which I'm running with the Imo State University Universal Basic Education Board, IMSUPEP, because I found out that a lot of women who lost access to basic education find it difficult to manage some of these monies given to them. Sometimes you bring 50,000 each. I am at the difference between Ishinego, Nuruaya, profits, and capital. So the program is embedded with courses spanning financial literacy, civic education. I tell you again, a lot of women don't even know, a lot of people who are eager to participate in civic activities don't even know how to adjudge who is a credible person to vote and who is not. So there is an opportunity to inculcate some of this into the women and let them be conscious and financially aware of the opportunities available to them. It also attracts trainings and all of that. I'm running a scholarship scheme which registers the best graduating students from all public schools in Okigwe North and mission schools. We've done the first phase where we subject them to the teacher, the principals who nominate the best graduating to us, and we enroll them through JAM and help them to secure admissions into the schools of their choices and the courses of their choices. We'll just, and then we'll give them bursary support. The first set of successful candidates, we are just empowered with the bursary support only 2 weeks ago. Yes, so for the business summit which we had, we brought in Bank of Industry, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Corporate Affairs Commission to open businesses for people, register business name, open bank account for them, and then teach them on how to grow their businesses. I'm also running we just commenced, almost rounding up the HPMO Unity and Prosperity Cup, which I think we just played our semifinals, because I see that there's a need to bring some of these youths together and teach them, since they love sports, get the sports enthusiasts and people who want to also explore talents, get them to work with them. And that is really also putting them in check. And then I have also launched an unemployment app and website, www.okigwenorthinitiative.org. There we have the app there where job seekers are able to upload their CVs because you're not even able to know how much of the unemployed graduates we have until you're able to see them fully captured. And then you can know also their disciplines and then find a way of helping them. And it might interest you to know that within my 2 years in the House of Representatives, aside from 8 months to COVID, I've been able to secure almost about 15 federal employment for Okigwe women and youths, lecturing jobs, Federal Inland Revenue Service, immigration, civil defense, and a whole lot of that. So I also would think that in working with the youths to help them to put their mindset right on how best to choose who are better legislators and how to differentiate from what is expected of our governor, of our elected council members, of our elected House of Representatives and Assembly members. It would be good if we can put something like this out. Maybe after this Zoom meeting, we'll put it out and let the audience know what to expect of the legislator. We all know that some of these things are reeled out right now are actually not the things and basic duties of a legislator. But then we get to do this because we are in a system where we have mastered the arts and where we have known the places and are able to cash in on the contacts and the goodwill we have built over the years. It won't be out of place if we can get our youths to get focused on how to fix their eyes on deliverables and the right ingredients to selecting a worthy representatives. If we have less pressure and cost of electioneering is brought down, persons in offices would spend less trying to come into an office where you're expected to serve, or where we have a situation where the electorate is charged with that mentality that this is a season yet again to fleece on persons who are coming with the intention to serve. It brings cost of governance or trying to come into government very high. Some of us go to borrow monies, and then rather than concentrate on the real act of governance, you are under a lot of pressure trying to get through some of the hurdles that you come through. But if we're able to put our youth together and let us know that if we can elect credible and capable persons in office and give them the support that they need, we'll be able to get more. I want to thank us once again for giving me this opportunity to put down a little bit of what I've been able to do in my 2 years in office. I would send a complete details of my scorecard to the committee secretariat so that it could be put in the public space and public place so that constituents will review them and then also see how they can make inputs. After the primaries, I would also upload results of the survey, which my consultants have been able to do, needs assessments. We have completed needs assessments in all the 33 wards and communities within Okigwe North, because it's very obvious that you do not give a man Panadol when he's having a running stomach. So the needs assessment is meant to increase participatory governance and ensure that projects domiciled within communities are co-owned by those same communities who serve as beneficiaries to those. I'd like to thank you and also seek your support and prayers as I seek re-election into the House of Representatives to continue the good work which I have been able to do. And I also plead with us to send in your contributions, your comments, your questions, anyhow you think that I can succeed and do a lot more for our people. I don't have to be the one to finish through at any point that God permits, but I can be part of those to set a blueprint for the development of Okigwe zone. I'm very privileged to be so elected as the first woman to represent Okigwe North, and I pledge my loyalty once again and respect all the time. I thank you very much, my fathers, my leaders, my sisters, and my constituents. Thank you, and a very warm evening to all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you once more for that elaborate account of what you've been able to do since you've been elected into the post. Now, obviously, you've said a lot, and glad that you're saying that you talked about those you've helped in employment, and you also concluded by saying that some of the things that the elected representatives are doing are not things that they ought to be engaging, which inadvertently increases the, whatever it takes to get into election. And this is one conversation that always should be had, because, the cost of getting elected in Nigeria, and many would argue that once that is done, the chances of people working properly will be reduced, because obviously, someone has to recoup the money spent. But again, appreciative of the fact that you've taken the time to elaborate on all this. We will be going forward now to get the next speaker. Please, please, please. I have a plea on all of us, every other speaker. Can we please look and pay attention to the time? Maximum 10 minutes per speaker. I know it might not be that much, but let's please try to, because we still have an avalanche of people that will be addressing us this evening. So the next person to take the virtual lecture now will be Honorable Chike Okafor, who is representing the good people of Okigwe South. Honorable, are you there? Chike Okafor. Did he join with a different device? I could not find any Chike Okafor here. Did he join with a different name? If Honorable Chike Okafor is not there, we will then move to the Imo State House of Assembly members and Right Honorable Kennedy Ibe. Are you there? Is that same as Ikesi Ibe?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not. Okay, thank you. So
I can go
is
in
it,
now.
is it there?
Oh, okay.
So if Right Honorable Kennedy Ibe, who is representing the good people of Obowo local government, if he's not there, then we'll move over to Honorable Micheal Crown Onyemaechi. Onyemaechi, are you there? For some reason, it appears those in the state assemblies are slightly uninterested in, answering the call to give account of their stewardship. I mean, that's my impression, but I may be wrong. Let's see if I'm right. Honorable Prince Emeka Ezenduka, are you there? Ezenduka there? No. Do we have Honorable Chiji Collins? Collins, are you there? Please, if by any chance that I do, I also understand that there are a couple of us who want to ask questions at this point, but please, 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 could you kindly lower your hand so that we know if we had called someone and that individual probably logged in with a different name, you could raise your hand and we will know that that's you. In this case, we do not have Honorable Chiji Collins, who is representing Isiala, Mbano. Then now call upon Honorable Paul Emeziem, who is representing Onuimo. Paul Emeziem. Also not there. The last but not the least, on the list of the House of Assembly in Imo State is Honorable Chidiebere. Is he there? Obviously, my suspicion is hereby affirmed. None of them, the 6 of them in the Imo State House of Assembly, is here with us. May I then take the privilege of now moving to other panelists. I am aware that we have here Professor Okechukwu Okeke, who we had the honor of him having called upon God as we started this conversation. I will then once more invite him. Professor, can you please take the virtual lectern, and you have 5 minutes to address us. Prof, please unmute yourself and then go ahead. Thank you very much once more, Professor Okechukwu Okeke. Thank you once more, Prof.
Thank you. Do you hear me now?
Yes, Prof. I know of now.
Thank you very much. I will be brief. You gave me just 5 minutes. For our legislators, the federal and state, the interest of Okigwe, if there are things, the point has been made, being shared, we expect our legislators to get our share. The important thing for legislators is to make good laws in the overall interest of the country. Honorable Miriam made an important point that most of the things they are doing are not what they are supposed to do. She has been very effective in getting our share of whatever is being shared. But we should also have legislators that should make laws that will make Nigeria overall a better place. They should pursue ideals and generally leave to states and local governments what they should do so that enough money, enough resources and time should be devoted to federal projects, state projects, and so on. It will be in the overall interest of the country. No money to maintain roads, no money to equip the police, and so on. And a lot of money is being shared doing local government work, even charity work that should be done by philanthropists. We should get our share, but we should emphasize the ideals. Talking about ideals, one of the problems we have in Okigwe zone concerning this election is this matter of term limits and the zoning, rotation of power. Some of us are saying that power should move from one local government area to the other, from one zone to the other, from Okigwe to Old Etiti to Mbano to Old Okigwe. These things matters are important, but the challenge we have is that except there are constitutional term limits, it will be difficult to achieve this. We have term limits for governors. We don't have for legislators. If we have something like 3 or even 4, it will be easier to achieve rotation in the local government areas, in the zones, and in the local government areas. It's important for legislators to emphasize this up there. It's important for us in Okigwe because within Imo State, we are the smallest, and in Nigeria, the southeastern states are the smallest. So it's important for us to emphasize power rotation. What if we have any challenges because getting one of us to become president? One of the reasons is because of our number. And talking about zoning, people have been talking about Hakeme in the last few days on this platform. One of the reasons he couldn't win in 2011 was that Okigwe zone was small, not just what was done to priests and all that. If he had come from a bigger zone, probably he would have won in spite of all those things. So for us that Okigwe that is small, we should try and emphasize rotation and zoning up there. Talking about ideals, it is important for state legislators to talk about local government autonomy, to talk about training youth for the international labor market, not just the Nigerian labor market. One of our legislators, Okigwe North, has talked about this. We don't have a sanitation system that, to the best of my knowledge, in Imo State and the local government areas. You know, with the urban areas, efforts are made from time to time to clear refuse. But it's important to extend that kind of service to the local government areas, to the rural areas. The diet has changed in the rural areas. And Odunene is no longer enough for refuse disposal. You know what I mean by Odunene, where plantain is growing. We need a modern sanitation system. The people have to pay for it to be effective. People at every level have to pay for it. Our government, our legislators should be talking about that. And talking about the international labor market, we should be thinking of vacation classes, reviving vacation classes. For those in Abuja, our legislators should be thinking of health insurance. Why are our doctors running away? Even if we build more hospitals and equip them, maintaining them will be a problem. There's not enough money is not getting into the sector. People have to bring money to pay for services. Health insurance is very important. For civil servants, we have, but it's not gone round. Security is very important, and our legislators should talk seriously about state police. We've debated this in several fora, and one of the objections to state police is that governors will abuse it. They give us examples moving from the known to the unknown. But for those of us in this part of the country, we should talk seriously about state police because of more important things than the abuses governors can use the state police to perpetrate. Security. We are talking of expansion. We are talking of lands being taken over. We are talking of villagers being disarmed, whereas those in the bush are not being disarmed. We should talk seriously about state police. And because I don't have time, I assume I've taken up to 5 minutes. This is a local matter. Many people will say this is trivial, but for many common people on the road, this is important. Vehicle inspection officers, in spite of court judgments, are harassing our people, especially in the Okigwe area. Get to Umaha from Okigwe. As soon as you leave the Imo area, you are free. But trying to leave Imo from Okigwe to Abia State at Okigwe, even from Okigwe to going to Abia University, another checkpoint. Within Obowo, there's another checkpoint. If you cross, as soon as you leave Imo State, VIOs will stop harassing you. It's only the road safety, the police asking for particulars to enable state governments to make money, revenue generation, that is important. Federal road safety, doing the other thing. VIOs, government should please make them leave the road. There's a court judgment saying they should not be operating on the highways. Our legislators can help us. It's a problem for us in Okigwe. I've mentioned at least 3 places where they harass people on the road in Okigwe. Let me stop there because I think I've taken up to 5 minutes. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Others will say the other important things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. You know, Prof, from the comments Prof made, you know that he is one of those that wears the shoes and he actually knows where he pinches. So we do hope that those that we have yielded our mandates for them to represent us in the verge of the social contract that we have signed, that they are listening and taking note of what the constituents actually do want. I would also have the privilege to welcome Chief Emma Agu to take the virtual lectern and give us his 5 minutes, talk. Do we have him here? Okay, Emma Agu, I think if you are able to unmute yourself, then that will be much appreciated. Chief Emma Agu, please. If you want, you can, quickly go on camera so we can also see you. Thank you very much. You may now address us. Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
I would like to, because I joined late, for me to know all those present, but I'd like to pay my courtesies to everybody present, especially those who are likely to be my senior in age, my coaches, and to every other person, I send my very deep respect. And I'd like to thank for making this platform possible. To come forward with the engaged members of the constituents, a path for progress and probably beyond Okigwe. Because I came in late, the Ibezim was making his presentation, and I was able to listen through. A stake is to say that I am quite impressed with with what has been read out by both distinguished Frank Ibezim and Honorable Miriam Onuoha. I have been able to follow some of their activities on Nzuko, Okigwe, and other platforms, particularly the issue of ensuring that Okigwe, which has is that they seem to appreciate and understand what their roles ought to be. And I say so with every sense of responsibility. Of course, because I'm not a politician per se, although occasionally hope to get away with them. Areas that I have found them to be quite active in the area of infrastructure, like the power, they have been very active. In the area of people empowerment, they have been active, and Honorable Miriam Onuoha has been quite active. In the area of education, Honorable Frank Ibezim, Senator Frank Ibezim has impressed me with his library project and reading project. These two projects have been very dear to his heart, and he has
So once more, I think the network is not playing and is not helping us this evening. Be that as may, we must then continue. Sadly, that we have lost Chief Emma Agu by the means of network not playing along. Then I would then use the opportunity to call on the next speaker to take the virtual lecture. I would want to see if we do have Professor Frank Ozo here. Do we have Professor Frank Ozo? Professor, are you there? It appears not. Do we have Sir George Egu? Sir George? Okay, again, it beckons that I once more call on Ambassador Team Ihemadu, that, who is the national president, also to have his remark before I go back to, to the floor and start taking your questions. Ambassador, are you there? Okay, yes, you're ready. If you don't mind, obviously, not many people were here when you gave your opening remark at the beginning. Now you have listened to those that you've assembled here, and what they've told us that they have done on our behalf. Also, those who did not join us, the ball is in your court. Now everybody is all ears, quite open wanting to hear from you at this juncture before we throw it open for the public to ask questions. Now, after you, anyone who has anything to say, anyone who has any question, any comment, please, you may also raise your hand. You'll be given maximum of 3 minutes to either make your intervention or to ask your question. Thank you very much. You may now go ahead.
Right, thank you very much, people of Okigwe and everybody in the house.
You're muted. You're muted again. Kindly
okay.
Unmute. Okay. Go ahead now.
Okay. Yeah, a call came in, and it's Dr. Obiareri that is trying to reach me. He raised his hands earlier on. So,
yeah, afterwards we'll give him the opportunity, to speak. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. That said, we have really benefited a lot from what Senator Frank Ibezim and Princess Miriam Onuoha has said so far with regards to their scorecard, and the contributions also made by the panelists. But one thing that is critical that Professor Chike mentioned is the issue of rotation. Rotation for offices is really important because as Igbos and Southeasterners, we are small, the smallest in the country, and that is denying us a lot of things. And if properly situated and it is captured in the Constitution, that is something that is acceptable, it could benefit minorities like us. But going forward, when it comes to the issue of representatives to the National Assembly and the State Assembly, I know of a fact from experience that rotation may not augur so well, because the demerits of rotation in this case is that you lose the opportunity to have a ranking member that will represent the constituency be it at the state or the national level. The advantages of having a ranking person in the legislative arm is that you have the first choice of refusal in getting some juicy committees and principal office positions. And those things influence a lot of things that can come to your constituency. In the last 2-3 assembly sessions, we know of a representative from Owerri who actually benefited from returning to the house back to back. And that led to him being positioned in such a way that as a principal officer, you have a budget, your staff strength is increased. And in the national budget, there are things that are allocated to your area by virtue of the fact that you are a ranking officer. So, but if you have a first-time legislature, if he goes there as a first-timer, he will be like a bench warmer. He will be at the back seat before he can benefit from the sharing of largesse in the state or national assembly. So in considering that, it becomes so much of a bickering of a thing when a particular representative goes for the first time, and there is this understanding that he should rotate to other communities, and he is coming to ask for a second term, and people will be agitated and criticizing, no, it is not your turn, it is not your turn. They will lose a lot. But in some other climes where they really understand the value, they really return their people, and the benefits are immense and humongous. And so I think we should be able to also speak to our people, especially when we consider the fact that the legislator who's gone there for the first time has done extremely well. I must speak here without bias that I'm so impressed with what I've had and I listened Princess Miriam Onuoha say of her contributions in the last 2 years. It may not be easy to go back for a second term, but we can urge the people of that place to consider that. The same goes to our senator. If he goes back again, there's an opportunity for him to do better than the little time he's been there. So we can encourage that people will look at it on the merit of what we stand to benefit overall if we send a legislator back for a second term. But that should not be a passport for you to sit down there and not do anything and think that you'll be sent back just to go there, because you are not the only one. I know, for instance, in Ihitte-Uboma, one of the local governments in Okigwe zone, it is clearly an understanding that if an Uboma man goes to the state assembly, the next election will be for an Ihitte man goes, the next one will be an Uboma man, and they don't compromise that. But that has its own demerit as well. But that should be understood. We should have a middle ground to settle these things as those who are trying to shape and design a framework that will help our people make sure that we get more for our area. Having said that, I think this interaction is something that we need to continuously engage in so that we can have an interface and then have an appraisal of where we are, where we intend to go, and what can be done and how we can do it to achieve that, and benefit from the wealth of experience, advice of the likes of our elders, Professor Maurice Iwu, Nze Ozi Chukwu, and the rest of us who are in this place. I think I will stop that so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Obviously, you have summarized it so well. Now, etwese kwuni Igbo, onye riri ọjị kpara ọjị nkụ na anaghị arị ọjị kwada. Meaning, he who has the opportunity to climb the Iroko tree, please make use of that, because you do not climb that tree every other day. Now you have the rare privilege of having those that represent you. You may not have the privilege of sitting face to face with them, but here we are in one room with them virtually. The time to extract your own pound of flesh is here by asking respectfully questions that may require them to answer you regarding how they are rendering their stewardship. The time to ask that question is now. You can raise your digital hand and you will be called upon to ask your question. However, I put a caveat here. Bikono umunnem. Abuna ina ajụ ajụjụ ka anyị kwanyere onwe anyị ugwu. This is not a time to use the opportunity to settle some scores. Let us ask and present our facts, ask questions respectfully. I will use the opportunity to call the first person I've raised hand here, and she's a sister that have joined us from onset before we even gone live. She's been here from the inception. That is no other person than Dr. Stella Obilo. Doctor, may you unmute. You have 3 minutes to either make your contribution or to ask your question.
Hello, Ogato, Tochukwu.
I can hear you, go ahead.
Biko, eweniwe. Hello, onye wenire aka ya before, mbo Dr. Nnaemeka Obiareri. So I think now the first person wenire aka say Joanna if he still wants to. I do not see
any hands raised here, so we'll go by that order. If Okay. Sorry then. Sorry for that interruption. My sister, Doctor, if you don't mind, let's take. Sorry, say that name again. Who is that?
Nnaemeka Obiareri. He raised up his hand, except he has changed his mind. That's why I just.
Well, there is no hand raised here. That is why I'm not unable to see that. So, Dr. Stella, please, can you take the virtual lecture, please? You may now unmute yourself.
Thank you so very much. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the host and Nzuko Okigwe. This is the first of its kind. This is one of the best practices that I will think we need to replicate. A time to hear from people who represent us, a time to hear from people that we have sent to be our voices where we couldn't speak. So I am very much impressed with what you've put together for us today. So I'm joining you. Actually, I have to take half day off to ensure that I'm in your midst today. And I'm very impressed. From the beginning of this, I called in 10 minutes to the hour, but no regrets of calling the half day off to be a part of you. And I quickly want to say, as someone who is a physician, I also have a PhD in public health. I have masters in public health and with 6 other certificates. I'm very much impressed with what I have listened to today. But I want to speak on the sector of health. I will tell you that health is wealth. And I will also tell you that primary prevention is cheaper and better. So to that effect, my question, I think I listened to Honorable Princess Miriam Onuoha mentioned what she's been able to do and even some of the outreaches that she ran. I am worried about some of this. When they say people from here, yeah, I am a physician, we come back, we run yearly outreaches. My only concern is sustainability. If I come today and I diagnose someone as being diabetic or hypertensive, I want to hear from Honorable Princess Miriam Onuoha what she's putting in place for people that she diagnosed or people that underwent surgeries. If she has an initiative that will sustain her program, because if someone you conduct surgery on will need to follow up, right? If those initiatives are not put in place, it will not be as successful. So, Honorable, if you don't mind, I would like to know what you plan for sustainability of those that are diagnosed. If you have any intention of running residential care for your constituents, this is what I advocate here. I told my people here in the US that if you're inviting me to come home with you on a medical outreach and you won't have sustainability of what you do, we're gonna cause more harm than good. Because we do this thing once in a year, we come back here, people develop complications and no one is there to care for them. So please, I wouldn't take much of your time, but I would love to listen to you to see if you have any proposal or any initiative that could take care of your constituents after your outreaches. Thank you so very much. I'm impressed with what you've been able to accomplish within 2 years. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stella there. Obviously, without repeating what she just said, the question that is and the must be in the mind of every genuine individual listening to us today is very simple. Yes, she said it. There are these medical, they call it medical missions. Either they come from England, America, Canada, and they can dish out paracetamols, and sometimes they can offer some operations. But her question is, what is the pathway to sustainability to ensure that that is done on a regular basis, or that is permanently, that there is a roadmap to that? And I'll be using the opportunity once more to invite back Honorable Princess Miriam Onuoha to now, I believe she's now more in a settled environment. She's no longer on the way, and she can now unmute herself and now take this question. 2 minutes,
Thank
please.
you. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I I'd like to thank Dr. Stella for the wonderful question she asked. Now, on health insurance, medical outreaches, one of the previous callers talks about the need for community health insurance. And I'd like to bring to our notice that His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, has been able to empower the Imo State Health Insurance Scheme. And I participated with that team to enroll vulnerable persons with disabilities, and then children under 5 into that scheme in the community. And the 3 local governments of Okigwe, Onuimo, Isiala, Mbano are ensured to have that list. And I'm working with that list to also isolate the elderly from the age of 65 and who are enrolled automatically into as beneficiaries of my after medical care and then home deliveries with nutritional support and then all of that. As for my free medical outreaches, within these 2 years, we have carried out 3 medical outreaches. In the first phase, we had about 142 surgical cases. We had a team of about 12 consultants drawn from teaching hospitals, general hospitals, and all support staff from the state. It will amaze you the number of persons in need of medical care down home. But then I thought, even after we conducted these surgeries, lipomas, appendicitis, hernias, with you need to see aged men going with this thing with size that you wonder how they are able to cope. And some have come with hernias of over 18, 20 years. And we've successfully carried out these operations. And I'm like, it won't be fair to just discharge them to their houses. So we have a database of patients who have undergone medical surgeries within our medical outreach programs. And then we go home, we take care of take care of the sutures after the surgeries, and then we go home to now see them on a routine basis. And then I also found that in the course of the medical investigations that we had, the second phase, we had about 132 surgical cases. And then the first phase was purely eyes. You need to see the number of patients requiring eye care. So it's not just about giving people paracetamol or giving them glasses. We took time to ensure that they were properly tested, and then we got them these assistive reading devices to improve their health and with medication. Then we scheduled them for surgeries, and then they underwent surgical procedures depending on the need that they had. And then we now isolated them, and I have a medical team, a team of resident doctors who go home to work with these people to check on them. And while we were going through these people that came, we found out that a lot of people who are diabetic, hypertensive, didn't even know how well to administer the medications that had been given to them. So this team of nurses and medical doctors go home to ensure that the medications would taken with the right prescriptions. And then I've also introduced a project and a program that will be run this year with the Medical and Dental Health Registration Board, and then Nursing and Midwifery Council and other agencies that would train community health providers with the basic skills. I tell you that most of the complications we have in the rural areas are occasioned by self-medications, improper diagnosis, wrong medications, and chemists waramov. And you think that they're helping you, they're giving your children the wrong injections and medications, even when there's no need for injections. They inject people with things that in their own knowledge, they're doing good for you, but then it's causing more harm than good. We are able to put together this training, which will take place before the end of the year, it will bring medical doctors within the constituency, nurses within the constituency, patent store operators, pharmacists. These patent store operators, no matter how enlightened you are, whether in America, whether in UK, your mother, your grandmother in the village patronizes them. Mix them ibuprofen, butanol, arthritis, rheumatism, anyambu, have all sorts of eye drops. And by the time they come to us in our routine medical outreaches, you find out that there are complications. So I am trying to have a holistic approach that will address community health issues, working with the hospitals that the state insurance has already aligned these people with, and then training these medical practitioners within our constituencies to know how best to refer persons to for tests. Don't just prescribe anti-malaria, fever, or malaria. This one, tetracycline, quinine. So I'm encouraging that that we do a test, diagnosis, and I need to inculcate that into these patent store owners, and then form alliances with the local hospitals within to run tests, even if it means equipping them with laboratories that will ensure we know that you are not treating someone for malaria when it is actually typhoid. Every time you have malaria and you have a fever, you go to Onye chemist or Onye nurse, they tell you it is typhoid and malaria, or acute malaria, plus. They bring it out with their heads without telling you. So that will be the essence of this program, which will be organized before the end of this year.
Thank you very much. I take it, Dr. Stella, that you are very satisfied with the answers given. Thank you. Your nod confirms that. Then we quickly move on, because I do understand I do not need to take and keep the elders here for too long sitting. Then I'm going to be going to Dr. Nnaemeka Obiareri, who, sorry, again, I didn't realize at some point it appears you raised your hand before. Now you have the virtual lecture. Can you kindly unmute yourself and take the podium? Thank you very much once more, Dr. Nnaemeka, for being part of it.
Thank you very much. Because of the brief time that we have, I want to stand on existing protocol. First of all, I want to commend Honorable Miriam, Princess. I see clearly that beyond the interventions, which I feel is not even your job, you did the basic things that you were sent to Abuja to do. You moved motions, and there are about 3 bills that you mentioned, which is your core function. And I want us to understand it clearly that Honorable Miriam is a member of the House of Representatives. The core function that we sent her to Abuja to do is to provide legislative agenda that will provide empowerment of our people. We did not send them to go to Abuja and then come back to Imo State to be doing the job the executive are supposed to do. I've seen people here ask her, what are you doing about your health scheme and all that? To be very honest, our democracy did not envisage, based on our laws, that Miriam Onuoha should be the one providing community health insurance, be the one doing rural health empowerment and all those stuff. Our laws are very clear whose roles are, it's because of the kind of warped democracy that we are running. That is why somebody that's supposed to be in Abuja attend sessions, attend committee meetings, make laws that will empower people, then come back maybe monthly to hold constituency briefing and town hall meeting to know what our people desires, is then turned into somebody that will now live in the communities doing what she's not supposed to be doing. I think we the enlightened elites, should try to drive the narratives and try to guide our people to be sure that we are not trying to divert their attention from their core function. 3 things I pointed out here from what she addressed us. She clearly stated, on the issue of healthcare, she's pushing up a bill that would turn our general hospital into a federal medical center. Very key. And it's not even something she alone can drive. Beyond her interventions, she also needs executive support by way of the governor. She also mentioned the issue of NIHOT, which is the low-hanging fruit that is going to be turned into a federal horticultural institute, the second in the whole of the federation, which is key. So I think what we should be looking at is how we can encourage her to be a good voice, one of the few voices. If you come to the National Assembly, she will be able, like a Dino Malaya or some of the other ones who are activist legislators, to be able to be a strong voice for Okigwe North in the National Assembly. We have insecurity in Imo State. We've talked about the issue of state police. What we should be doing is asking them, what are they doing in the National Assembly to draw the attention of the government of the day to the issue of insecurity. You know, when we talk about insecurity, we think it's something that is left for the Buhari. It's not only Buhari that will secure us. We should also encourage them. Issue of state police. National Assembly members are the ones who should be at the forefront of driving this. We need to let them know that it's a priority to secure Okigwe, so that when they go back there, at every opportunity they have, they should be able to tell those people in Abuja, or move motions, or even start push bills that can even kickstart this issue of state police. It's not enough for everybody to go on air and say we want state police. Somebody will have to move a bill. Somebody will have to move a motion. And if one or two or three people constantly put it in the forefront, something will be done. So I just don't want to take our time. I appreciate Miriam. She did her call for, and we must encourage them. This issue of asking them to take the mega salaries that they earn to come and be doing constituency projects, doing all manner of things they are not supposed to be doing, is putting pressure on them. Rather than make laws, rather than put pressure on the MDAs to execute what they're supposed to do, they will be busy chasing contracts to recover their monies. And we are here putting burdens on them. Miriam has no business. We have 774 primary health care centers that were built by the federal government of Nigeria. Each of those federal medical centers, each of those primary health care centers in Imo State, we have 305 of them, require about 18 million to equip. We talked about equipping them with laboratories, equipping them with dispensing drug centers where we can actually get drugs from the pharmaceutical companies, not even middlemen, to be sure of the quality of those drugs. We talk about having doctors that will attend to those places, even if it means once in a week, and nurses that will be permanently there. It is not the work of Miriam Onuoha. What we should be encouraging her and the senator to do is to liaise with the governor to see how they can provide, tap into agency funding. There are a lot of global funding there for rural health care. Some of us who are privileged to be in the private sector can work with them to see how we can transfer those interventions to come to Imo State for us to help them do what they're supposed to do. Asking her, most of this we are requesting them to do, is why they are not doing what they're supposed to do in Abuja. Her interventions in Imo State should be maybe once in a quarter, once in a month. She will come in, hold town hall meeting, find out what his people want, and then to go that Abuja to pursue it. I want to especially appreciate her. All of us talking about zoning, talking about doing 4 years. If I have my way, I am not the kind of person that endorse politicians. I am one person that believe that governance must be brought to the people, no matter who is bringing it, whether you're from Abuja, you're from Lagos. If I have my way, I will support Miriam to go for a second term, because she will do better, not only as a ranking member, but one, this is her first time in National Assembly, and she's already gotten a chairmanship position. She may not have done what we expect her to do. If you ask me to rate her, I will rate her 55 over 100, but she has potentials to do 80–90%. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've spoken so passionately. And obviously, one of the reasons and one of the cardinal things that will be the takeaway from here is what we are doing is to Giorgio. And in having these, in the words of the former House of Rep in Edo, Patrick Obiagbo, which he calls Barakboism. In this Barakboism that we are engaging on this evening is to begin to unlearn, relearn, and learn. Because some of us here, before logging in, didn't know the responsibilities of the reps or the senators. All we hear sometimes is, well, what have you done? Why have you not built this road? Well, there are clear demarcations in terms of lawmaking and the items and things the executive has to do. Again, as you rightly said, that our sister here, Princess Stella, that our sister here has actually gone beyond what her remit should be. And she's, in your words, done it brilliantly well. To whom much is given, again, much is expected. I would also want to bring Ibe now to also either intervene and ask questions. Everyone, for some reason, everyone appears to be directing the questions to Princess Onuoha. But I know we had a senator here who made also a presentation. I would expect more bombardment to also come. I'm not, I'm a feminist. I just, try to protect the women folk, but also prepare some ammunition to the men folk as well. So let me see the direction that EKC Ibe will take. Please, you may unmute yourself now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. First, let me follow others and thank the organizers of this town hall meeting, and to commend their actions and also to appreciate what they're doing. The first time in our zone. I want to quickly adopt some of the things Dr. Nnaemeka said, but I would also like to put some additional points to that. Yes, what our legislators are supposed to be doing at the National or State Assemblies is to go and make laws and generate motions and influence policies of government. But in doing those things, it also includes initiating projects in their communities, not for them to directly execute these projects, but introducing projects in communities, especially during budgeting sessions. What every legislator does all over the world, constitutionally and statutorily, is to look at projects that they can insert in budgets of the nation or of the state that will benefit their places. So to a large extent, what Princess Miriam is doing and what Senator Frank Ibezim is doing is actually part of their functions. Because you can go ahead and propose legislations for building of health centers or building of schools or horticulture centers and all that. But if you don't take concrete steps to see that those bills that become law are implemented, then you will have failed also in part of your responsibilities. And again, also, most times legislators just dump projects in different communities without actually knowing exactly what communities want. So that brings me to my second point. Most times people go in with what they call their legislative agenda. Every legislator goes into the assembly, whether national or state, with their legislative agenda. And how do you come about this legislative agenda? Is by having meetings with your constituents, either during campaignings or after you've won the elections, then you have meetings with different levels of your constituencies and find out exactly what the people want in order of preference of their communities. And then that becomes what your legislative agenda is, in addition to some of your own personal, personal initiatives as a legislator. So what we are having now is actually supposed to be spearheaded by legislators themselves in communities, not necessarily at the time of giving scorecard, but at the time of beginning to seek these positions, they have to go to communities and find out what communities want. I'm happy that Princess Miriam Onuoha has already said a few minutes ago that she has an idea of doing a needs assessment of communities. Perhaps that will help her when she gets back to the House of Reps, as somebody has proposed he will. I mean, personally, I'll support her, but I'm not from her zone, because I'm impressed with what she's doing. So if she has this needs assessment that she's introducing, that will go a long way to set her out as somebody who knows what she is doing, who is going in with a legislative agenda. And this legislative agenda will mean you proposing motions, proposing bills to address the agenda you are coming with from your community. And when these things are passed, you also have the responsibility to make sure that the relevant agencies of government, be it at the national or at the state, make sure that this agenda is implemented. Now, secondly, one of the points I want to make quickly is one of the biggest challenges we have in Okigwe, that is a very small zone, is lack of unity. Unfortunately, Okigwe people do not have unity amongst themselves. And this is what has been preventing us from developing at the same rate or better than other zones have. Now, in Okigwe zone, for instance, you have all kinds of organizations. You have Okigwe Elders Forum, you have Nzuko Okigwe, you have Okigwe Forum, all kinds of organizations. And a lot of these organizations are set up along factional political lines. Yes, every zone can be political, but every zone can also be united, have what they call the agenda. And that leads me to, have we ever decided on what Okigwe agenda is? Okigwe agenda, like any other zonal agenda, must be development of Okigwe zone. Whether you are in party A or in party B, we must have an agenda of developing our place so that wherever we are, we pursue this agenda irrespective of what we are doing, where we are, or who we are supporting. And this is why we have lost out in a lot of developmental initiatives, because every group, when Party A calls meetings of what they call Okigwe stakeholders, they will call members of their party. When Party B calls meeting of Okigwe stakeholders, they call members of their party. So at the end of the day, we are polarized, and it keeps, distracting us from real developmental issues that we should be pursuing. So I am urging our leaders, let us de-emphasize political affiliations and political leanings and emphasize more on Okigwe agenda. If we have Okigwe agenda, no matter who comes in the next election or the next 4 years or whatever, everybody will be working on agenda and keep improving our agenda until we develop as much as other areas have developed. I thank everybody who is here, and I congratulate Princess Miriam Onuoha. I also congratulate Senator Frank Ibezim. Unfortunately, our state assembly members are not here. And most times you find that when some of these meetings are held, at least from my experience, I've not seen them participate in Okigwe meetings like this, and which is very unfortunate, even though this is more or less, a wrong timing now, because they are running around for their primaries the next few days. But I haven't seen them participate in Okigwe meetings, over the years. And this is a time for us to really take a stand on the kind of legislators we'll be sending, whether state or national assembly. So I thank everybody for being here, and this is my piece.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ibe, for that intervention. Now, I am happy that, at some point I thought to myself, maybe I am overstepping my bounds by calling out those in the State Assembly for not being part of us. But now my good brother Ibe there has given us also, or rather given me backing, that, noting that what I've said before is not out of place. Because when you talk about grassroots and things cascading to the level, we have people who are representing at the federal level here in the last 2 hours, sitting down here, listening, making contribution. Those are the closer to the ground are nowhere to be found. I am aware, and I got a note before that one did join us before, but I do not know if he's still here. Right Honorable Kennedy Ibe. I've searched for that name, unless you're logged in with a different name, but I can no longer see him in this room. So, Chairman, if you are aware that Kennedy Ibe is here, we would like to give him some time to make his intervention. In the absence of that, what is going to happen next is we will be taking some time from, we will be taking an intervention from the only senator we do have in this house. Again, if Senator Frank Ibezim, if you're ready, please, you may now have to take the virtual lectern to once more address us. You have listened to what everybody has said. You have listened to the questions that have come across. Please, you now have the time to, address these questions, address these concerns, and also help us to, iron out the gray areas that appear to be slightly misunderstood in terms of your core duties.
Okay, am I on now?
Yes, you are. Thank you very much.
Okay,
sorry. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, the moderator, and thank you, everyone that is still online with us. I was going to address what our brother, Dr. Nnaemeka, spoke about, but Right Honorable Ihitte has thrown quite some light in that direction. Well, the truth is, as a legislator, the major things that you're expected to do is to do your laws, make laws by way of introducing motions and bills. But the other major part of it is the constituency projects. And besides the constituency projects, your job is also to take advantage of your position in looking for employment and facilitating other challenges that your constituents may have, whether it's in the hardship set up by those trying to tax us illegally, like somebody mentioned, or in every aspect that you can make your constituents and the larger Nigeria a better place. In the Senate, the first thing I did when I got there on the 27th of April of last year, that week, I quickly had a motion, which was a motion to pretty much declare Okigwe zone a disaster area in terms of electricity challenges. I made it clear to the nation that for over 30 years, we had approval to have our power plant set up. Umuahia and Port Harcourt areas enjoyed it, but unfortunately, ours had been one story or the other. And for me to do that, I had to liaise with the leadership for them to unanimously agree that that's what we ought to do. And we summoned the respective organizations that control power. And that was why quickly they swung into action, and which saw the results of what we're seeing in Okigwe today, like the polls that are being drawn as we speak, from on here down to the National Open University that we just have been setting up, which is almost nearing completion. The other thing that I did was two major bills. One has passed the public hearing stage, which is the bill on National Research Innovative Council. What I tried to do with that bill is there's no way we would develop science and technology without having a council that will be in charge of regulating research work in Nigeria. That will stamp out plagiarism. And that will also, just like you have TED Fund being in charge of tertiary education, this council will be able to organize researches that are made, who will it be domiciled with, and who actually is that research that created the research, and also the payments, how professors and doctors will be rewarded. So these are the areas. Then I had this other bill because we're talking about IDPs. Everybody believes that IDPs is a northern thing, but internally displaced persons, in Okigwe lately, we've always had rains that have destroyed our marketplaces and our homes. Part of what we did with that bill is to show that internally displaced persons are not necessarily refugees. And I will also pass to the second reading. That one is going to, once we go through the public hearing, we'll get it to the third reading and wait for assent. However, what is important is for us to understand that what a legislator would do with budgeting will be what it is. I listened to Princess Miriam talk about projects, and let me explain this to you. Those are constituency projects. If you're not able to, there are many ways, and you have to be innovative for you to create, increase your budget. And interestingly, if you're in the National Assembly and you're not able to do much with your budget, then you're not going to be able to intervene properly. The areas of intervention will be exactly what I have tried to do with the President Generals. I realize that there's a time for politics, election, and there's also a time for governance. What I have tried to do is to deal with the President Generals of our 154 communities in Okigwe. And I've invited them, we've had meetings, and I tried to explain to them that we will need them to give us a feedback on the issues that affect different communities, because it's not the same issues that affect different communities. We've also gone to critical areas, like if you go to Oriago Market, you have the abattoir, which serves even Mbise people. Isiala, Mbano. Oriago abattoir is one of the major abattoirs in Okigwe zone. You will not believe it. The borehole is not working because people said they ran out of money to buy fuel, for instance. The abattoir itself is the Zerai saw. So what I needed to do there was to now recreate the borehole and make sure that we have solar-powered borehole, so people will stop giving excuses of that we don't have fuel. Because we can create a lot of diseases just from how we handle our meat and how we process our meat. So you have to look at the key things to do the right interventions. On the area of the medical outreach, I listened to the doctor that lives in the diaspora. We all happen to have lived in the US. I spent quite some youthful age in the US, and we came back here. And part of what I have done is to go back to ask the diasporans. Yes, it's a good thing for you to do medical outreach. Yes, for countries that have developed, it was a synergy between diasporans and locals. I mean, interested diasporans and also locals who are willing to make a difference, coming together and teaming and making a difference. So when I heard about, the part of what I discussed with them in the US is to ask them, yes, you're coming every year for medical mission. What happens when you go back? And I can assure you that even those in diaspora are now, those that are linked with the local doctors are now talking on how to continue, the continuity, continue when they leave. And most times when they come, they don't just deal by themselves. They also have local doctors that they team up with. So part of one way to encourage them is like what I did in the last month when they came. They had a place in Mbano Joint Hospital that they built themselves, very commendable. And when they came for this medical outreach, I asked them what their challenges are. They said that they would like to have accommodation. And when we checked, at least I put about 1.2 million naira towards the accommodation. And I know they were very grateful. We also try to look into their security issues when they come in to see if there are areas we can get involved, because it's easier for us to arrange those. But interestingly, they were able to, because they've been coming, arrange that. So that synergy between the local and the diasporans is very necessary for continuity. Honorable Princess spoke about medical outreaches. it's important when you see the level of health issues, challenges. Majority of our health issues are psychological. So it's important for you to be able to sometimes look at these elderly people, check their blood pressure, make sure that the right medication, the medication they are using is the right medication, and make sure that we are getting the source of the medicine. So there are so many things we can do, even as legislators, to also augment what the executives are doing. The interesting thing is there's need for synergy between executive and the legislator. And it doesn't matter whether your governor is in the same party with you. Whatever you can do to woo the executive to achieve a lot for your constituents is important for you to get involved in that area. I also listened to what Right Honorable Okigwe had said about, excuse me, finding ways to do like need assessment. One important way to get into need assessment is what I told you that I've tried to do with the President Generals. Interestingly, we all know that there are general needs. I was talking, I don't know when I was cut off at what point, but I was talking about the classroom library, which I went to Ibezim and we introduced into the nation, where they now started implementing classroom library in the 109 senatorial district. But you know, the major challenge we have in our country is implementation. A lot of great laws, a lot of good ideas, but if you're not able to have the right team to follow up and tidy up what you're doing, it's an issue. Some of our schools, I brought out 18 primary schools in Okigwe zone when I wanted to introduce the classroom library, and I realized that the classrooms, oh my God, that the classrooms are mere, it's not a place you would even show anybody. You are not proud to have those. So we started cleaning up classrooms, renovating them, and setting up the classroom library in the right sense of it. Now, getting students to now realize how the teachers, train the teachers, and getting students to realize how they can borrow these books, take the books back to their parents, for parents or guardians or whoever that can read and write, reading back to the children for like a few minutes, and then getting the children to bring in back the books back to the class, and for the teacher to check what they have read so that they can read back to them. A lot of our problem right now is foundational, and there's not much we can do if we're not able to get back our educational system on track. And so I agree with you that we have to do bills and laws. They're very important. That's the primary thing. But it's not more important than the constituency projects, making sure you put things in the bill. What I will advise us to do is for us to understand that there are mechanisms in which you will know what every legislator has done, for instance, in our zone from inception. How much did they put in the budget? And not just putting in the budget, how many of them, what they put in the budget is implemented? My first year, I came in there in April 2021, end of April. By the time I came in, our brother Senator Ben died in December. And that gap, we didn't have any much representative as far as budgeting. But we came in, and when we saw what we had in that zone, we made sure that we insist on making sure that whoever is the contractor did what they ought to do. We follow the bills. It will be the legislator that will follow the bill of quantities and insist on making sure that the job is done. If you're not there, they are going to do a shady job and walk away, because it's your responsibility to sign off what they have done. So those are part of what your legislator ought to do. So I'm very excited that we started this way. And I think that it's important that we keep to this. Whatever we legislators will do to make sure that we have these Zoom meetings, even if it's once a month, it will make a lot of difference in the life of Okigwe zone. So I want to allow some other people to make inputs. And I want to thank you for this opportunity. And I want to say that this is actually exciting. Okigwe is not really back on track with this. And I will also ask Dr. Nze Obiareri, right? I don't think we've met before, but he has suggested a few things. And as someone that is also in private sector, if we can reach out to us, we can tap into his ideas and we can also offer him consultancy. Because whatever we can do to make a difference in society is important for all of us to, carry on and do that. Yes, this is an election year, but what I want to leave with you, all of us, is we should get involved. Ask those that are looking to take over offices, what are the antecedents? Today, we have 4 people. I don't know if there's another person coming on board to run for the Senate of Okigwe zone. Of all the 4 of us, 3 of us have been legislators before. One of us is a former governor. So we can take what we have done, the scorecard. You can still check the scorecard in this internet age. The way I look at it is, you can take the legislators, 3 of us, and see what we have done. How much did we put in the budget? And how much did we implement? You can take the former governor and say, okay, he's been there for 4 years. We have a governor in Imo State for 2 years. What has he done in these 2 years, vis-a-vis what this person has done in 4 years? So there are ways to check things. And then the only way we can make a difference in our country, and this is the time, because we are running away from saying that crime, that's, if you're a hungry person, it's difficult for you to tell a hungry man or woman not to get involved in anything that can make them feed themselves. And we ought to realize that now is the time. Necessity is knocking on our door for invention. We haven't had any necessity in this country before because the country is so blessed. There's no part of this country that without electricity, you can die of cold or heat. So now, the only thing that is challenging us is this population explosion amongst us, with about 80% of us being under 40 years. And there's no way you will have people that are under 40 years, very active people. They have no job, they have no employment, they have no, even when they have gone to school, you tell them after some years that they are unemployable, and you think that they are going to keep quiet and not create crime. So I want to call some of us that are on this platform now, that are diasporans. Let's all look into how to tackle these unemployment issues in Okigwe zone. I've told you my plans, and we have set up a place fully for it. Let's attack the data entry jobs. Those jobs that people are shipping to the Far East. Most of our people are very good with IT. I've asked questions. How did they get this good in Nigeria? They said most of them are working through YouTube. However way they are working through it, let's organize ourselves and set up this data entry thing that is paying people monies in dollars and other foreign currency. And I believe that if we attack unemployment, and if the President Generals will come back with the feedback, and our women, the presidents of women will key into this thing we're talking about in the area of processing agriculture, because we must go back to farming. That is why I've gone to some schools, primary school, secondary schools, to reintroduce agriculture. That is why I've gone to ADP, which is supposed to be the organized sector, the agriculture development programs that we have in the rural areas, telling them, waking them up and telling them, bring the right farmers. And that is why I have not just brought seedlings and fertilizer and packed them for them to go and sell the fertilizers. I have told them, follow them, teach them, get the right seedling, let them teach them. And right now they have farmed, and I've told them, take pictures of every farm and send to me on WhatsApp. Right now we have calculated it, and we are releasing fertilizers to those people to go back to those farms so that we can encourage real farmers. So right now there's challenge, and until we look in and figure out how we can fight these issues head on, we're in trouble. And it's important for us to continue this way. If we invite people during election, if it's possible for us to do this election and get people who are running for offices and tell ourselves the truth that this business is a serious business. If you have no idea and you have no contacts, I told people that if you're in power, there's no need for you to be proud. You should be humble, whatever it takes. If you have to reach out to anybody, any group. So I ask anybody that knows what we can do, now that I'm sitting on this seat, anyone that knows what we can do. I don't know it all. And I'm willing to listen to everybody's ideas. If you know what it will take for us to do, let us do it. It's a big deal to be a senator because any senator that goes to see anybody that is in power, they'll open the doors for you. But you also have to know what to ask. And you don't have to have any chips on your shoulder because time will not wait for anybody. I am very interested in making sure that my time as a senator, however long it is, I want to be remembered as a senator that did my best. So I am willing and I'm very excited that I'm part of this and I'm open to it at all times. And I will also reach out to the state legislators because I know that there must be a reason why they did not key in. I wouldn't have keyed in if it wasn't that I have a friend, Jamaica, what's Jamaica's? He's a friend of mine, so he was able to reach me. Because sometimes when you send people WhatsApp messages, for instance, if I'm in a plenary, they shut out the system. So you may not, when you have about 100 or 50 WhatsApp messages come at the same time, you won't even know unless you're expecting that WhatsApp message. So we also need to, before we condemn them outrightly, figure out exactly where they are, why they did not participate, and find ways to encourage them to participate. I thank I thank everybody. I thank Professor Iwu. I thank Nze, and I thank everybody that has made this a wonderful outing. Thank you very much.
Thank you once more. Thank you, the distinguished senator. And it is also nice to have men of your stature that speak in the language you have chosen to speak to us, not of pomposity, but humble enough to say that you do not know it all, and also that your doors are open. And I believe any of the people from the Okigwe senatorial zone here, or rather the Okigwe area, and also not only those, because in the larger scheme of things, you represent the entire Ndibo. And people have to take cognizance of that and also use the opportunity to reach out to you. As you rightly said, your doors are open. Now, quickly, let's speed it up a little bit. I would use the opportunity to invite Nicholas, please. Nicholas, we may begin to reduce the time from 3 to 2, but if you may quickly, please, unmute yourself and make your intervention. Is either a question or that you're making an observation. Also, if possible, for those of you who are raising your hands, if it is possible, make it very clear that, clear the area that you are in, ensure that you can show us your face the way you look at my face now, that we also see you properly. So Nicholas, if you're there, can you quickly unmute yourself? Turn on your camera if you're there. If not, we move to the next person.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas, Reverend Father Nicholas Okafor. I'm from Onyemo, Ehime, Mbano local government. Can I say thank you to the organizers of this forum and to all the speakers. People have really spoken well. I am not at home. I am in diaspora. I'm a Catholic priest, like I rightly pointed out, and I'm a student of Munich School of Philosophy, Germany. I have had the privilege of studying and working in Australia and as well as Germany as a seminarian and then as a priest. There is a way Australians used to run their schools, which I would like our legislators to look into. Every children counts in Australia, whether the person goes to private school or public schools. There's a budget for every student, every child born in Australia, at least up to secondary school level. And if the country wishes to allocate, let's say, $5,000 per student, the money we give in, both to private and then public schools. If the private schools have extra curriculum activities, that might increase their own school fees. So I'm trying to say, because both students or pupils in primary schools and students in secondary schools or in private or public, they are the citizens of a country and they should be taken care of. So I know it might be a bit cumbersome for our country, Nigeria, but if it is possible for the federal government and the state government or even the local governments to have a budget, a grant, a compulsory grant that will be allocated to private schools that have met up some criteria that will be set up by the state or federal or local governments, and then be giving them some money so that they will be rendering quality education, whether our children are attending private or public schools. So if that could be done, that would be wonderful, because what I see, especially in private schools, is they don't have enough money to pay quality teachers, and that might result to hiring people that are not really qualified to lecture or to teach in some of those schools. Another thing that I want to draw attention to is we have mentioned how we've been using Mbano Joint Hospital for medical outreach. Mbano Joint Hospital is, actually, I think it was built by Mbano people and then given over to the mission to run. I think a similar hospital is at Amozari, Isiala Mbano local government. I think Anglican Church is managing that one, while Catholic Church is managing Mbano Joint Hospital. Mbano Joint Hospital is not well equipped. My mom worked there for years. I lived around that place for a very long time as a toddler up to even this time around. We still live there. So I would like us to look into our legislators. If you can ask the matron of that hospital what it will take to equip that hospital to a certain level to meet up international standard. The people from America recently built ultra-modern theater in that hospital, which is highly commendable. But I don't think there's enough government presence in that hospital, because that hospital is the major hospital serving our people in that area. I'm from Ehime, Mbano, but the hospital is in between Ehime and Isiala. So it's serving Isiala Mbano people and the Ehime Mbano, and it was really built when we had only one local government, Mbano local government. So I would thank God we have our legislators here. Please delve into that as urgently as possible to see what we can do to upgrade that hospital to a certain level so that it will be serving our people very well. It seems my time is up.
Yes.
Okay. I'm actually on the way. I'm actually running now. So thank you so much. But one thing I want to point out is the cost of campaign and governance. As a Ehime people, if we can help our aspirants to curtail the cost of governance by calling them together, asking one or two of them to step down, or having consensus, if it is possible, because the cost of governance or campaign is really a major issue in our senatorial zone. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. All the very best, and thank you so much for the organizers. Can I say thank you to my elder brother and dad, Professor Maurice Iwu. I heard him when he was giving his remarks. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much. And I must say, in the language of those that you stay in their place, that's the Germans, I'll say, ich begrüße dich, ich war auch da. Ja, danke schön. So, schönen guten Abend. So, danke. Nochmal. So, let me come back to English. I would then use the opportunity once more to call on Clement Eze to please make your max 3 minutes intervention, either question or contribution, please.
I will pass on making my statements. I think I've overheard the rest of the folks that spoke. I'm very highly interested in having or being a part of this. I'm very grateful that finally in Okigwe zone, at least we have begun to dialogue, talk to ourselves rather than talking over ourselves. This is a very good beginning. Hopefully at the next conference, I will have more to contribute. My shout out to my legislator, Miriam. She's done wonderfully well. I don't know her. This is not an endorsement of her as a person, but for her work. I think the rest of Okigwe and the people before us or before her, they have all failed us. I have never seen Okigwe in such a deplorable situation and condition that I have seen it in the last 5 to 8 years. It is really appalling. But we can do something about this. And it will take a lot of collective effort of all of us. Those of us in the diaspora, I'm speaking to you right from my office here in Brooklyn, in Manhattan. We can all come together to make Okigwe a better place. Have our presence felt in both in Nigeria as well as in the diaspora. There is no reason why we cannot come together and uplift Okigwe. This whole business of all for myself, it doesn't work. I heard my senator spoke about attempting to equip libraries or schools that libraries that have no school. That's exactly the problem. If my senator has taken the time to visit a lot of these places, he would have found out that the school he was attempting to equip with a library, there was no school. These folks really literally just reside in Abuja or in their own big mansions, including me, without even reaching out to the rest of the communities. How do you know what is happening in your community if you don't step outside of your home to go and see them? That is the problem. Mr. Njenje, thank you very much for organizing this. As I said, we have more to say at the next conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You know, you are indeed straight to the point, relieving off of, of so many exigencies that we do not need to sit down for much longer. So we will be rounding up quickly, but let me, before we do, invite Beta Nwachukwu to please have the virtual lecture, either make your contribution or ask your question to the presenters. Thank you very much.
I've been listening from this from A to Z, even though I'm busy driving now, keep on listening to it. I want to thank the host of this town hall. This is what we should be doing. I'm so happy to hear from everybody who has spoken. I want to use this opportunity also to thank our Senator, Frank Ibezim, and Miriam Onuoha for all you have been doing. Just within a few months, Miriam Onuoha has been there about roughly 2 years. Frank Ibezim, just a little over a year, but they have accomplished a lot. I want to thank you all very much. But my request is this: how can we in diaspora, I'm calling from Houston, Texas, how can we in diaspora be able to vote? Because some time ago, some politicians came here and told us that when they get into there, when you're going to get into there, he's going to make sure that diasporans vote. So please, I would like you to go back, when you go to the chambers, try to draft some legislation to enable people in diaspora to be part of the process. We want to vote. We want to participate in the Nigerian election. That's my request. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you once more. Without, speaking for the elected representative, I can tell you free of charge. Diaspora voting has been one of the gray areas that all we hear is promises, 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 and I see nothing changing very soon. Well, let's for once be optimistic, but being a Nigerian, optimistic in these days and age, it's something one probably have to relearn. Now, I bring on Sister Okoro Nnenna Blessing. If you may, kindly unmute yourself, either ask your question or make your intervention.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Madam Mbano. I'm from Ehime Mbano local government area of Imo State. I'm really happy to be amongst you all today. I've been here throughout the meeting, and I appreciate the senator, and I also appreciate Princess Miriam. It's really beautiful to have your humility is quite emulating. If all our lawmakers can actually be this humble to attend a meeting that was just announced some days ago, just to speak to their people, I'm sure we'll be making a headway in politics. Thank you so much for being part of this meeting today. It really means a whole lot. I really wanted to talk to the person representing Ehime Mbano local government area, because that place is a mess. We don't have roads, we don't have good water, we don't have light, and we don't have good schools. And those people from there are supposed to be measuring up with those people that have the access to those social amenities. It's not really going to work because they are not developing at the same pace with those people that have access to social amenities. When we don't have good schools, where do they learn? When we don't have good water, how do they survive? What's their health like? And we know health challenges start from when they are much younger. It's not something that happens when they are older. It's something that happens from childhood. When a child doesn't develop properly, definitely is going to have issues by the time it becomes a youth. And they are supposed to be helpful, and they are supposed to implement or activate, or they are supposed to be very active and form part of our labor force when they become youth. But at that age, we discover that they already have a lot of deficiencies because of the environment where they are coming from. We all know that man is a function of his environment, but Ehime Mbano is really a mess. Seriously, it is. When it rains, we don't travel to the village, and that's very bad. We don't have access to good roads, don't have good markets. Yes, they cultivate a whole lot of cassava, but people don't buy it because we don't have access road. And we don't really have, I really appreciate the ones you are doing in your different localities, but I wish those things can actually be extended to Ehime Mbano. It really means a whole lot to me. And then secondly is our girl child. The girl child is really wasting away. Our NGO had a little program last year, November to be precise, at Girls Secondary School at Pakuma. Most of the questions those girls asked is quite saddening. I think I was traumatized for a few days because I couldn't really believe that girls of that age have really gone that bad. Those days, we do have guidance and counselors in school who will go to and talk to, but I don't think these schools these days, they do have it. So I don't know if we can actually incorporate that again, because I know we do have some teachers, we do have some people under guidance and counseling, they don't teach. Their major objective in their function in the school is to attend to every child that has one or two problems that they can actually discuss with the class teacher. They cannot actually freely discuss with the teacher, with their parents, but they can actually talk to that counselor. Most of these girls are traumatized. They are debased. They are psychologically, I don't know how to put it. But this generation, if we really want to get it right, we really have to go down to the grassroots. And we should really give a child every opportunity to develop just like their counterparts so that they can measure up when the time is right. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened to each and every one of us today. I just believe that this is a way forward for Okigwe Zone. I really want that place to be developed. It really means a whole lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nnenna Okoro. And I think the senator is raising his hand. and maybe the senator will be the last person to address us this evening. Then Professor Maurice Iwu, if you're still there, I would like to bring you back to, as an elder, to, summarize and give us a vote of thanks. But before I do, I can also say that we do have someone else raising their hand, but let's get first to the senator there. It appears someone has said something that he wants to respond to. Senator, if you're there, please kindly unmute yourself and address us. Thank you.
Thank you. Am I on now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. The last speaker, I would like to address a few things she said about the Ehime Mbano. It's a difficult thing. When you're speaking about a place, it will be good to say where you're from in the Ehime Mbano and this location of the place you're talking about. I know that the House member is not on here, but I have synergy with the State House of Assembly members of Imo North, the entire 6 local governments. Truly, they may not have what we have in the sense of constituency projects. They are there to make laws and help His Excellency. His Excellency is doing 5 local governments. He's doing 5 kilometers per local government right now, rural roads. But in the Ehime Mbano, why I want to know what she's talking about is if you go to Umeze 1 and 2, our brother, Chief Todi Chukwu, used his contacts in NDDC to attract a lot of rural roads in that area. If you come to Omalwak axis, I can tell you that we have a federal road where we just got there. These are all, sometimes you leverage on your contacts. What we did was, there's a director that is from Omalwak, had a meeting with the former Minister of State, Nnaemeka and myself, and we're able to go up there and we're able to get that road in Omalwak. The road has just been done. If you go through Unso, the same way Ehime Mbano has been done, there are so many local roads done. Some of those roads, people leverage off of their contacts, personal contacts with people in government. It can be done. So when we talk about leadership, connections, I'm glad that a lot of the people that are on this platform would say that they understand what I mean. I'm glad that Prof. Iwu is on this platform. He knows what relationship can bring. Even before I became a senator, there was a 5-kilometer drain-to-drain road that crisscrossed the entire, from my house to about 5 kilometers into the rural areas, bordering on stopping over Nzerem. There's a road that is continuing from that place into Nzerem, because Nzerem is the food basket of our place. So it's important that we're fighting so hard to see that we get that. That road I'm telling you about was attracted, you will not believe it, it was attracted by my brother's wife, who was praying. You wouldn't believe this, I'm saying it here, but that is to also show us that we can do a lot with our contacts sometimes. He was a prayer partner with the SGF's wife, and they came for a program in the area during the rainy season, and their vehicles got stuck. That's about 4 or 5 years ago. By the time they were fighting to come and capture the place, it was now when Emeka was in the cabinet. So in effect, we were able to get that resolved, and that road was done. So, and I can tell you that a lot of people have leverages. There's a young man in Onuimo who was in NDDC as well. If you enter the entire Onuimo, you will see that there are a lot of road networks in Onuimo. In Ehime Mbano, we are not perfect, but if you can't say that there are no roads in Ehime Mbano, and I know that especially when you're in the diaspora, when they say some of these things, they're not able, you need to ask questions to know exactly where these things are to know before we'll talk about it. Not too long ago, you know that the only viable project we have in Okigwe zone now is what our big brother, Professor Iwu, is doing in Onuimo. He's producing tea, there's no place you can see proper production going on. That is the only place. Across from there, we have the Omona Fish Farm. If you ask Prof, we've been running helter-skelter, talking to the Minister of Agriculture, trying to make sure the governor is involved as well. It's a teamwork, trying to make sure that they will match that place with what he's doing. Because if you leave that place like that, hoodlums start living into there and create more problems. If you ask Prof, he just mentioned to me that they had transformer issues. All we did was to immediately reach out, and because we know that industry is key, we brought a 500 kVA transformer in there right away. And the point I'm trying to make is, yes, it may not be, it's a terrible, perilous time right now all over the world, but I'm glad that our diasporans and the locals are teaming up as we speak to see what we can do to ameliorate some of these conditions. But we're doing our bit. If you're talking about Okigwe zone, if you want to investigate the President Buhari's government, be it that we might talk about injustices in the national, but President Buhari's government is one government that has benefited Okigwe people more than any other federal government that we have had since the Second Republic. And I mean to say that today, we have the largest open university that is ranking with the one in Lagos and Kano. We have the largest auditorium in that open university right here in Eze Council. You can go there and check it out. And that university will start in this new academic session. We have a skill acquisition center, incubation center. And we're looking for diasporas who can come in and make it a school. Just like you can have a part of School of Harvard somewhere. These things can be done with this internet age right now. So the auditorium we have in Eze, you can come and look at it. It's about 2,000 capacity, well built, and we are bringing NCC to bring broadband internet access so that we can actually access diasporans. So what it is we need to, with this kind of thing we're doing, we need to cross-check what we are telling you to ascertain where we are and, have verifiable facts so that we can find ways to key in. So I just wanted to correct that impression about the Ehime Mbano. In fact, the Ehime Mbano probably has more road networks than many than many other local areas. I'm planning, by God's grace, most of the things I put in budget this period, I'm trying to face the Okigwe axis and Onuimo axis to see how we can do the bit we can do. There's something that I want to mention here that we should look into. If you see the Imo River, between Ihitte-Uboma all the way to Onuimo, what we need to do is to see how we can dredge it. It's not a whole lot of issues. If we dredge that area, we'll open up our waterways into Imo, and between those waterways, there's so much we can do in rice farming. We would not also believe this. We spoke to CBN governor to see if we can give our rice farmers money, and he said the only way they can do that is we must use private money to do it for a season. And the Emeka Obiareri, you can check this out, got his microfinance bank to release over 300 million naira. We got the churches to get involved in this thing. They are verifiable facts. And interestingly, as our people, when it was time to, when they finished, we were supposed to buy back. Some people started hiding their products, but we can do better because we are still trying to. What I'm saying is, for anyone that knows what we can do to make progress in these areas, let us use this opportunity to see what we can do together. So the point I'm making is, when somebody says that a place stinks, we need to put it in context. And so we know the areas that we have bad roads. I beg to leave so that I don't take everybody's time. I know we've been in this meeting for a long time, and I appreciate you all. I just scrolled down to see that we have up to 27 or more participants from Okigwe wishing and have been on this platform. What this tells me is that Okigwe people are eager to make progress, and I want us to verify whether this federal government has affected us more than the others. And I know that this is an internet age, we can check these things out. I thank you, and I honestly would like this meeting to keep going on. Anyone that knows anything that Frank Ibezim can do to make Okigwe better, now that I'm in this Senate, please let us work together. Thank you very much and remain ever blessed.
Thank you very much once more. Thank you for coming back once more and making that clarification. Now, the last person here this evening is going to be Basil Njoku. Please, Basil Njoku, your intervention, please.
Thank you, moderator. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the organizers of this forum and this dialogue. I think it's high time and it's needed. Most of the speakers earlier on have said most of the things I had planned to point out. Suffice that to say, I just need to remind us of one thing. In as much as we expect the government to do a lot, we also do not sit down and wait until the government comes. Whatever we can do collectively as individuals, group, do it. Don't wait. It is because we didn't wait for the government that we have Imo Airport today. If you recall, in those days, every community in our end almost built their schools by themselves. It is that spirit. I happen to be the president of Mbano in the US. And most people here acknowledge the ultra-modern surgical theater we built at Joint because we wanted to take these things home. Before I go far, let me acknowledge profusely the help of our sister, Princess Miriam Onuoha, and Senator Frank Ibezim for the medical mission we recently had at home. But Mbano on their own, without levying anyone, voluntarily built a hospital that is meant to serve for those at home. That is something Dr. Stella said. How do we ensure that there is continuity when we do these things and go home? And that is what led Mbano to do that. I want to appeal to us. On the commissioning day, we invited Eze, just that they can go and tell their communities. The director, Minister of Health, or whatever, confessed that surgical theater is the best in the state. Avail yourself of the opportunity and the equipment that are there. The bishop assured us that they will hire qualified doctors and surgeons to use the place. So it will not do us any good if we have such a thing there and it is not being used. I am also appealing to others in different sectors of the world. The Igbos are known regardless. Yes, government is doing a lot. Our lot is not going to change overnight. We are a super minority. Whatever we have in our communities now that are sustained are those that were built by the community in those days. If you have solar light in your home, just extend 1, 2 to the neighbor. Community, by linking hands, we can do more. By linking hands, we can do more. I encourage this dialogue, and I will appeal to those that put it together to please don't let it die. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And everyone, we are now rounding up. May I use the opportunity to call on the erudite professor, Professor Maurice Iwu, to now take over the virtual lectern and address us. Obviously, haven't listened to all the speakers, haven't listened to all the questions. If there are clarifications to be made, Prof, we await that you do so. If there are also other interjections and interventions that you want to make, we'll be glad to listen to you. Prof, over to you now. You may now unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited and overwhelmed by the contributions and then all that have been said about our place. This is a very good beginning. There are 1 or 2 clarifications I want to make. One, the role of legislator abroad or in a civilized society is completely different from the role of a legislator in a third world setting. In our setting, please, if you are going to represent us, do it like Miriam and Frank. By so saying, I'm just saying that we are grateful and we are thankful. We acknowledge all that they are doing and we ask them to do more. This is the beginning. I think we'll be able to call others and hold them to account. I want also to express my disappointment with the 6 State House members who are not present today. That tells you so much about them and those in the federal. I also want to confirm what the senators said. I'm happy to announce that just yesterday, we signed an agreement of transferring the Omuna Fish Technology Transfer Center back from federal government to us. Those of you in the diaspora, we are reopening that Omuna Center. It has 8 farms, 8 fishery farms. It has a training center. It has a hatchery. And that was the whole idea, is trying to reopen that place. We are trying to invest so much in education, particularly tertiary level. The primary and secondary level, the state can take care of that. But the tertiary level, you can do a lot, all of us, by making the Open University Center, which will come on stream this year, to be functional more. The Skill Acquisition Center to also be online. And the big challenge that we have also is that the campus of Imo State University that is at Omuna, so that it can be functional. We are looking for any foreign contact so that school can then be linked up with some other group. And so it will also be able to function. I want to publicly thank the Senator Frank for the 500 kVA genset he sent to Omuna, which they will now use in this new farm. We built a police station back home. The police station was supposed to have been put there because that stretch of territory from Okigwe to Mbano, there was actually no station there. And that was why they were having killings almost on a daily basis. But then when our own sons and daughters, we don't know who did, burnt those stations, you could see why we have insecurity in the place. When I was talking about having security talks, I'm not talking about those tactical issues that they normally have privately, secretly. We're talking about talking to ourselves so that it doesn't pay us any dividend, like Miriam said. For us to be burning our own centers, hurting ourselves, it will be better for us to teach our children that these things that they're destroying, yeah, they are called federal institutions, but they're on the end that they're ours. I want to again end up by thanking everybody who has made contributions, but to say that we have to take the bull by his horn. Those people who did not think it was necessary to talk to us and give us an account of their stewardship, please, Okigwe people, take note. We have to hold them to accountability. They are not bigger than all that put them there. And by so doing, I commend strongly the two of you that came up to be able to explain to us what you have done and what you're planning to do. And that's the only way democracy can grow. If we allow people to do these things and get away with them, they will do it again. The only way democracy can go is that we hold people in strict account of what they're supposed to do and what they're doing. And the person that talked about my local government area, we are trying to be very careful here, because I come from that local government and people are really accusing us of over concentrating things in our own local government. The senator, the minister, and myself, we come from the same place. So you can see that when somebody is talking about that, and then that was why the senator was this. So our main emphasis now, as in Okigwe, is that Onuimo and Okigwe local government has to be developed. That's the only way we can keep unity in our place. Anybody who is talking about any other place is not being fair to them. We have to do all we can to make sure that Onuimo is developed, Okigwe developed. And that was why I didn't cite my factory in my local government. I didn't cite my factory in my hometown, but I cited it at Onuimo local government so that we can carry our people along as one group. And that's the only way we can develop. Again, thank you. And thank to Nzuko Okigwe for hosting this wonderful talk. And we will hope the second one will be better than this one. And at the end of the day, though we are going to ask to represent us in 2023, we know that we elected them and not that they are being imposed on us. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this second chance to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Obviously, you reaffirmed and made me understand that as an elder, you are not happy with what those that we have sent on errand to represent us at the state level have done. And that has given me personally confidence. And I also take you on your challenge, Professor. I am now also an honorary member of the Okigwe family, and I do accept that with two open arms. Now, on that note, I will say thank you very much, everybody, for being part of this conversation. As one of my sisters said at the beginning, it is better to judge than to war. On that note, I will say we are now coming to the end of this. I do not know if Okoro Chinedum wanted to say anything, but if not, we will be stopping the live stream and the recording. Then we may have just a couple of minutes to say hello to one another. If that is okay, then that will now happen right away. Thank you, everyone, once more. On that note, I want to also recognize and thank my co-moderator, Daniel Elomba from the News Band. And my name, for many of you who know, I am Mazi Ezoke, and from Njenje Media TV. Once more, it's my privilege to be the host of this conversation today, and a lot has been learned. I must also note that the Okigwe people have taken the bull by the horn, and what you hear, people thinking, saying, oh, it is time to hold representatives to account, it is time to bring them to town hall meeting. People say these things, people mute this, they think about it, but no one has really picked the courage to do what the people of Okigwe is doing today. I must also say my thanks to the people of Okigwe and all the reps that have come to say this is what they are doing for the people. That is what it's all about. You see, no one died. No one was beaten. That is it. Come, tell the people what you're doing. If there are challenges, let them know. If there are anything, let them know. That way, no one will walk away from here saying, well, we don't know what this guy is doing in Abuja or he's doing in the National House of Assembly, but now they know because they have had that opportunity to interact with the person in question. Thank you once more, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazi.